question she asked. She knew he couldn't answer, but she wanted a grandstand anyway. That was part of the day I could have done without.
Well, I mean,
that was
these Senate hearings are mostly about grandstanding. Usually it's just the senators. Yesterday it was also the subject of the inquiry.
Steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
It's going to be a hot weekend, folks, so get ready for it. Today we're going to have some passing shower or thunderstorm this afternoon, a high of 84. Saturday, mostly sunny, breezy, and warm, a high of 90. And on Sunday, we're going to have sunshine and breezy conditions, temperatures near the record high of 97 degrees. That's what we could hit on Sunday, so get the air conditioners ready. Let's go into our alarm detection systems traffic center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Good Friday morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. Inbound Stevenson, we still got some delays between Lamont Road and 83. Overnight road work is in the process of clearing, so these delays have lightened a bit. And then it's also now heavy on the inbound Stevenson from Harlem to Central. A little midway traffic mixed in. It's just 38 minutes now from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound fine at 34. Edens, Kennedy, and Eisenhower still clear. The Ryan looks good. I-57, Bishop Ford, both with 1 or 2 minute delays approaching the merge. No delays to report on the tollways or in northwest Indiana. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do on this show. Long-form interviews with opinion leaders and policymakers. This week on our Against the Current series, we feature State Senator Dan McConkey, freshman senator from Hawthorne Woods, discussing his proposal for a constitutionally balanced Illinois state budget without a tax increase. So that's Against the Current. We got 60 seconds of sanity, my commentaries, 2-minute warnings about bad actors in public office in Illinois. Follow the logic, man on the street interviews, as well as a new feature, Heart of the Matter, which is a discussion kind of colleague to colleague among women representing different demographics about the topics of the day, so you want to check that out. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
If you're aged 59 and a half or older with the 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Arlington Capital Management at 855-471-5796. They'll help you actively manage your 401k, show you strategies to avoid major declines, and capitalize on opportunities. There are benefits with age, and this is one of them. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can dramatically improve your results and even lower your fees. Call 855-471-5796 now and take the first step toward getting more out of your retirement assets. The team at Arlington Capital Management proactively explores the market, our economy, and all of the variables that offset your investments. Call 855-471-5796 now for a complimentary consultation. That's 855-471-5796 or visit arlington-capital.com. You worked hard to accumulate your nest egg. Now, it's time to put your money to work for you.
You've heard about the Coin Show. Now you need to make plans to go. Find out what collectors and investors have known for years. It's fun, full of history, and it can be a great investment. Attend the Greater Chicago Coin, Currency, and Collectibles Show. It's one of the largest in the nation, and it's free. Get to the Tinley Park Convention Center Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, June 15th through the 17th. Admission and parking is free. Just bring your photo ID. Hundreds of dealers, the best coin dealers from all over the country. See displays valued at millions of dollars, U.S. and world paper money, gold and silver bullion, and a lot more. This is a show for the whole family, collectors, investors, or if you just want to find out more about coins, currency, and collectibles. This show is a can't miss. The Greater Chicago Coin, Currency, and Collectibles Show. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, June 15th through the 17th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. Admission and parking is free with your photo ID. Get more information at chicagocoinshow.com. That's chicagocoinshow.com. Don't you dare miss it.
AM 560, The Answer. When you've got questions, he always has an answer. It's Sean Hannity this afternoon at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So talking about the Comey testimony, and one of the better exchanges that actually went somewhere relevant to bottom lining this investigation was with Comey and Florida Senator Marco Rubio. The failure to object if Comey, which is the big New York Times headline, blaring yesterday throughout the day, multiple stories on it, advancing the New York Times narrative. And we'll get to that, exactly what I'm talking about, the New York Times narrative, in a bit. But the big takeaway, he tried to end the Flynn investigation, even though he has the right to do it, a point Comey conceded in his opening statement that was released prior to his testimony. But here's the exchange in terms of why, if you thought that was happening, why you didn't do anything. And tell me if this inspires confidence in your FBI director, even in a former status.
The meeting in the Oval Office where he made the request about Mike Flynn, was that the only time he asked you to hopefully let it go?
Yes.
And in that meeting, as you understood it, he was asking not about the general Russia investigation. He was asking very specifically about the jeopardy that Flynn was in himself.
That's how I understood it. Yes, sir.
And as you perceived it, while it was a request that you hoped you did away with it, you perceived it as an order, given his position, the setting, and the like, and some of the circumstances.
Yes.
At the time, did you say anything to the president about that is not an appropriate request, or did you tell the White House counsel that is not an appropriate request? Someone needs to go tell the president that he can't do these things?
I didn't, no.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. I think, as I said earlier, I think the circumstances were such that I was a bit stunned and didn't have the presence of mind. And I don't know, I don't want to make you sound like I'm Captain Courageous. I don't know whether, even if I had the presence of mind, I would have said to the president, sir, that's wrong. I don't know whether I would have. Okay. But in the moment, it didn't come to my mind. What came to my mind is, be careful what you say. And so I said, I agree, Flynn is a good guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and Dianne Feinstein asked pretty much the same thing, as if he was an abused victim, like, he's been beaten down so many times. Why didn't you stop the abuse? Stop.
Why didn't you stop and say, Mr. President, this is wrong?
Maybe if I were stronger, I would have. I was so stunned by the conversation that I just took it in.
And she's like, that's understandable. Like, he's the victim.
So let's just understand something. This is the FBI director and a former deputy attorney general who said, what the president tried to get me to do this. That's what he was intimating. I thought it was wrong. I said nothing at the time. I said nothing subsequent. Why? I don't know. I just manufactured this excuse that I was stunned in the moment before this committee. That's what he just said. Okay. We definitely won't confuse you with Mr. Courageous Comey, Mr. Comey. And so on the one hand, that's what he's saying about the Flynn investigation, even though he concedes the point the president could have done whatever he wanted, and he didn't. Could have pardoned Flynn, as Dershowitz has pointed out, and he didn't. And then there's this exchange about what the president communicated to Flynn about the whole Russian collusion investigation, including, quote unquote, Trump's satellites.
Are those the only two instances in which that sort of back and forth happened, where the president was basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, it's okay, do the Russia investigation. I hope it all comes out. I have nothing to do with anything Russia. It'd be great if it all came out, if people around me were doing things that were wrong.
Yes, as I recorded it accurately there, that was the sentiment he was expressing.
Then why are we here? If the president's sentiment was, hey, investigate it fully. I hope it comes out well for me, obviously, and for my people, obviously. But if my satellites did something wrong, because you've already told me I'm not a target of the investigation, then let's get it done as soon as possible and figure it out. We're having a conversation about obstruction of justice. That is an exculpatory statement by Jim Comey, in my opinion. And then, of course, the issue of Trump himself. And Rubio asked a good question.
Do you ever wonder why, of all the things in this investigation, the only thing that's never been leaked is the fact that the president was not personally under investigation, despite the fact that both Democrats and Republicans and the leadership of Congress knew that and have known that for weeks?
I don't know. I find matters that are briefed to the Gang of Eight are pretty tightly held, in my experience.
Well, obviously that's not the case, because the predicate of Rubio's question was, this is the only thing that hasn't been leaked.
Mm-hmm. He leaked what was convenient for him and for his reputation, for his character. And payback. I'm telling you, payback.
And we'll get
because he was upset.
We'll get to Jim Comey, political operative, engaging in the investigation by trying to prompt the special counsel, which I guess he effectively did.
Now Trump's going to have this looming over his head for a year.
At least. Harry in the car, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me on the show.
Morning.
All I can say was the best entertaining dog and pony show that was on the radio yesterday. Full of confusion, collusion, good questions, I don't know, the Russians, and my all-time favorite should be. All this talk of what was happening at the dinner, and I'm probably going to inject with Seinfeld in this when I say, but not one question regarding what was for dinner.
Thanks for the call, Harry. Ed in Oak Brook.
Yeah, you know what, Dan and Amy, you guys should devote a whole day to this without commercials because this was gold. And if J. Edgar Hoover was around or is listening, he would have probably shut this organization down. But the point I want to make is the striking thing. He always wanted to make Trump look like the liar, which is the Democratic narrative. And also, when Obama said that Hillary Clinton just made a mistake, how was that not obstruction of justice? Because later on he comes out and he lays out the facts that probably would have hanged everybody else except her. And he says that, you know what, there's no intent here. Well, what was the intent of Trump? All he wants to do is push his agenda as president, and this is a big cloud over his head that it just keeps coming up and up and up, and that's what people are talking about. So that Comey guy was the biggest piece of crap this country has ever had in its life. What an embarrassment. Have a nice day.
Thanks for the call, Ed. J. Edgar Comey, minus the lingerie, of course.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, we'll be talking about the Comey hearing all day long, taking your calls, 312-642-5600. What were highlights and lowlights for you? But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. 64 degrees this early morning. In the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. President Trump's private attorney speaking out, saying former FBI Director James Comey's Senate testimony removed a cloud that was over President Donald Trump.
Comey's testimony also makes clear that the president never sought to impede the investigation into attempted Russian interference in the 2016 election.
Lawyer Mark Kasowitz addressed the media following Comey's highly anticipated remarks yesterday, heard right here on AM 560, The Answer. Former campaign manager for President Trump also hitting back hard against the fired FBI director after his Senate testimony.
Jim Comey basically wants to do what is best for Jim Comey. He has lost the faith of the president. He's lost the faith of the individuals working at the FBI. And, his reputation has clearly taken a hit on this.
Corey Lewandowski yesterday saying the most important part of Comey's testimony was the revelation that Comey told the president he was not personally under investigation. Great Britain may be heading to a hung parliament. Latest BBC projections show that Prime Minister Theresa May's Conservative Party has won 318 seats, falling just short of a working majority in the 650-seat parliament. Conservatives had hoped to increase their majority to provide somewhat of a mandate for May moving forward. Now there are calls for May to resign, but May is likely not to do that, and she is meeting with the Queen later today. North Korea says its latest missile test was a powerful new type of ground-to-sea cruise rocket. The North Korean news agency, brought forth by South Korean agencies, says Thursday's missile launches were capable of striking at an enemy group of battleships attempting a military attack on North Korea. Hot weather expected to hit Chicagoland this weekend. The National Weather Service says highs could top the upper 80s tomorrow. Heat indexes could soar near 100 on Sunday and Monday. An investigation continues following a deadly mobile home blaze in Oak Lawn. 2 trailers caught fire early yesterday near 90th and South Cicero Avenue. West Nile virus rearing its ugly head in Illinois again. The Illinois Department of Health says it's warning folks in the state to be on high alert since the summer mosquito season is set to begin. Health officials urging folks to use plenty of that bug spray when out. Macon County, the latest to confirm West Nile mosquitoes there. Rockies over the Cubs 4-1. Rays 7-5 winners over the White Sox at the Trop. The news is service of Triton College. At Triton College, you'll find real quality in their modern facilities and dedicated faculty. Real value in their courses that will cost you a fraction of four-year schools. At Triton College, you'll find real opportunity. Visit triton.edu today. 5:33 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher is fed up with the Trump bashers.
When I listen to people, colleagues of mine, oh, he shouldn't tweet. You don't think he knows what he's doing? Well, but that's not protocol. Wait, he's not protocol. He's the proverbial bull in a china closet. It's who he is. My gosh, I'm so fed up with these haters. And the haters come in all political stripes.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
What's the scariest thing about going to the dentist? Opening your mouth or opening your wallet? Because just a simple cleaning can cost $100, and things like root canals can cost you hundreds more. If you don't have dental insurance to help, you should give Physicians Mutual Insurance Company a call. 1-800-400-4811. This isn't a discount plan or preventive-only coverage. This is real dental insurance that helps pay for checkups right away, so you can call today and get your teeth cleaned tomorrow. Plus, it helps cover the more expensive procedures you might need down the road. Fillings, crowns, bridges, even costly dentures. There's no deductible and no annual maximum. Your acceptance is guaranteed for one of these insurance policies, even if you're retired or on Medicare. There are no networks, so you can choose any dentist you'd like. That's right, any dentist you want. Call and we'll rush you a free information kit with all the details. 1-800-400-4811. That's 1-800-400-4811. 1-800-400-4811.
Searching for that black box is one of the most important aspects of aircraft accident investigation. But then, of course, you gotta have an airplane crash to investigate. I get it. Wait for the crash, investigate after. Sounds a bit late for all those on board. Sad to say, the same kind of black box approach is currently being used in our healthcare system today, which means nothing more than you feeling under the weather. Then we'll study the black box, x-rays, blood work, endless streams of diagnostic testing, uncover a terrible disease that may require a treatment plan that may prove even more deadly than the disease itself. This is Dr. David Kolbaba. I'm not into crash investigation. Here at HealthQuest, our passion is prevention. Spend more time, energy, and money on true preventative health care today, or you'll undoubtedly be spending more precious time, energy, and money later on some terrible sickness or disease. True prevention saves lives, one life at a time. How about you and your life? An ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of risky and dangerous medical care. Give us a call, 1-800-794-1855. That's 1-800-794-1855.
5:35 coming up on 5:36, and a check of the roads this morning. We do that in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. We have an early delay on the inbound Eisenhower. It's slow from Manheim to 17th Avenue. Looking at a 31-minute travel time, Thorndale to downtown. The outbound side is fine at 29 minutes. Still clear on the Edens and Kennedy. Inbound Stevenson, slow Lamont Road to 83, where overnight work has lifted now. And then it's slow Harlem to Kedzie, 41 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan is 20 minutes, 95th to downtown, I-57. 18 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishop 420. Tollways are good. No delays to report in Northwest Indiana yet. Traffic is a service of NTB. Get your 5-quart conventional oil change today. Just $19.99 plus $3 disposal fee. For tires, oil, service, and repairs, National Tire and Battery. That's all you need. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Jim, thank you. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Clouds, sun. We may have a shower or thunderstorm around this afternoon. We've already had some showers overnight into the early morning. High of 84. Patchy clouds and 61 overnight. 67 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Secure Retirement Radio with host Raj Shah. Sunday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I want to get to a couple of things here, trying to break this down for you because there's a lot here. So let's talk about a couple of things. One is, let's get the president's response through his personal attorney, Mark Kasowitz. And then let's go through a couple of Jim Comey's inconsistencies, things Jim Comey has said before that he contradicted yesterday, as well as things that he said yesterday that are being challenged by, everyone from the New York Times to the Department of Justice. So first, Trump's response through Kasowitz.
Yeah, and the good news is, Dan, is that yesterday President Trump was watching this hearing with Kasowitz, so no tweeting happened at all during the hearing. And, of course, Kasowitz came out and said that they feel vindicated.
The president feels completely vindicated and is eager to continue moving forward with his agenda and with this public cloud removed.
But there's a special prosecutor assigned, so I don't know how he can move forward. But he is moving forward, and he said that the key from this whole deal yesterday, this whole dog and pony show, is that the president never asked anyone to stop the investigation.
The president never, in form or substance, directed or suggested that Mr. Comey stop investigating anyone.
Well, that's what Comey said. That's what Comey said in his exchange with Rubio. That's what Comey had said previously. That's what his deputy director at the time, now acting director, Andy McCabe, had said before Congress. That's what Director of National Intelligence Coach said. That's what the director of the NSA, Admiral Rogers, said.
But the left still didn't believe it. I mean, the left, everybody sees this hearing differently and processed it differently. Chuck Todd up there, I mean, I wanted to throw a shoe at the TV saying that, President Trump should be very concerned. And this is good for his base, but it's not good for Republicans in Washington.
Well, look, there's aspects of this. I mean, with this, Trump doesn't come out of this with a clean bill of health. And whatever Comey's credibility is, what it is different than what it should be. It should be zero. You shouldn't believe a word this guy says. I don't, because everything has been politicized by Jim Comey. And his standard of conduct and operation is wholly inconsistent. And so to that point, the matter of Loretta Lynch, even something as minor as this, every time this guy is challenged, he essentially concedes his integrity and his professionalism to protect himself and his reputation. Sometimes it's both of those things. Sometimes it's one or the other. So Senator Jim Lankford is a Republican from Oklahoma on Lynch demanding that Jim Comey call the Hillary Clinton criminal investigation a matter.
And then you made a comment earlier about the Attorney General, previous Attorney General, asking you about the investigation on the Clinton emails, saying that you've been asked not to call it an investigation anymore, but to call it a matter. And you had said that confused you. Can you give us additional details on that?
Well, it concerned me because we were at the point where we had refused to confirm the existence, as we typically do, of an investigation for months. And it was getting to a place where that looked silly because the campaigns were talking about interacting with the FBI in the course of our work. The Clinton campaign at the time was using all kinds of euphemisms, security review, matters, things like that for what was going on. We were getting to a place where the Attorney General and I were both going to have to testify and talk publicly about it. And I wanted to know, was she going to authorize us to confirm we had an investigation? And she said, yes, but don't call it that, call it a matter. And I said, why would I do that? And she said, just call it a matter. And again, you look back in hindsight, you think, should I have resisted harder? I just said, all right, this isn't a hill worth dying on. And so I just said, okay, the press is going to completely ignore it. And that's what happened when I said, we have opened a matter.
Yeah, and so he did. He went along with it. He said it. He played along. And what you had then was Justice and the FBI aligning their characterization of a criminal investigation with the Orwellian campaign speak of Hillary Clinton. That's what I'm talking about, politicizing everything. Yep. So that's one instance. Another important instance of Jim Comey's inconsistency with Jim Comey is Susan Collins' inquiry with respect to the use of a cutout. Jim Comey, the FBI director, using a cutout to leak information.
Did you show copies of your memos
to anyone outside of the Department of Justice?
Yes.
Oh. And to whom did you show copies?
My judgment was I needed to get that out into the public square, and so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel. And so I asked a close friend of mine to do it.
And was that Mr. Wittes?
No, no.
Who was that?
A good friend of mine who's a professor at Columbia Law School.
And that professor at Columbia Law School then gave it to the New York Times.
And the problem is, and Catherine Herridge is on the stick on this one, Jim Comey said something about using himself as an anonymous source in previous testimony before Congress.
I can't remember a time ever where a former FBI director has deliberately leaked the contents of a government document so it would get to a reporter in the hopes that it would prompt a special counsel investigation. And one of the problems, I'll say, for James Comey right now is that in his last public testimony here on Capitol Hill before the Senate Judiciary Committee, right out of the gate in that hearing, he took a series of questions from the Republican chairman, Chuck Grassley. And Chuck Grassley asked him whether he had ever been an anonymous source for reporters about the Hillary Clinton email investigation or the Russia case. And James Comey testified no. Then he asked him whether he had ever authorized someone else to be an anonymous source on his behalf on the Clinton email case and the Russia case. And James Comey said no. So at the very least, what you can draw here from that testimony is that once he left the office of FBI director, he was not necessarily a person of principle.
Yeah, not a person of principle, and also a sissy because he was too afraid, Dan, to do it himself. It would ruin his weekend with his wife.
Why didn't you give those to somebody yourself rather than give them through a third party?
Because I was worried the media was camping at the end of my driveway at that point, and I was actually going out of town with my wife to hide, and I worried it would be like feeding seagulls at the beach if it was I who gave it to the media. So I asked my friend, make sure this gets out.
So is what he did legal? I mean, could he face any charges?
No, but it's
morally wrong, but
he's a liar, and he's having trouble keeping it all straight. And to come up with the glib, feeding seagulls at the end of my driveway, and because I was going out of town for the weekend. I'm sorry, were you up against the clock to release your letter to the media? You didn't have to do it at all. Special counsel Ben Shapiro had made a great point on this, actually. Comey thought Lynch had a conflict of interest, so he exonerated Hillary himself. He thought Trump had one, so he pushed for a special counsel. That's what I'm talking about. The application of a different standard depending on the target and depending on whatever Jim Comey's political interests are at any given time. This is Jim Comey, the likes of Jim Comey, I'll say it one more time, I'll say it more than one more time, is why Americans think we have the rule of men over the rule of law. And as long as people like Jim Comey are in charge of the FBI or in senior positions of the Department of Justice, that's what we're going to have.
Well, I want to know what else he leaked to the media if it didn't fit his ideology. If he was allegedly being bullied by Trump, what else is out there?
Let's take some calls. Mike in Burr Ridge, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. I had a question since you're really knowledgeable about law. What, aside from the perjury and lying that he did, wouldn't it be an obstruction of justice for him with those memoirs not to bring it to the Department of Justice? I thought that's protocol. To me, wouldn't that be obstruction of justice if he was that concerned? Wouldn't that be obstruction of justice instead of leaking it?
Well, I don't see an obstruction of justice charge for Comey here because what did he do? He made a memo to himself to memorialize his version of conversations or meetings with the president.
Because he thought the president would lie about the conversations.
Right, but he's not accusing the president of doing anything illegal. He's told the president privately and publicly that he wasn't a target of a criminal investigation. So what justice are you obstructing? He's not even a target.
His cabinet, though, wouldn't it be his cabinet? Anybody that's involved, like you said, his satellites, anybody. I mean, if he's making all these memoirs, and he was that gravely concerned about it, wouldn't he report that to the Department of Justice?
Well, but here's the thing, as Comey has conceded, Trump could have stopped the investigation if he wanted to. He didn't do that, obviously. Comey read Trump as wanting the investigation into Flynn to stop, but Comey didn't stop it. Trump could have stopped it legally if he wanted to. He didn't. So there's no matter of legality here. That's what I'm saying. Everything about this is politics. And just politics and political positioning. But no, I don't see Comey having done anything illegal. I just think he's oleaginous. Thanks for the call, Mike.
I hope he has a good retirement plan because I don't think he's going to get hired anywhere. Do you?
Are you kidding me? No, he'll be able to go work if he wants to at some blue chip law firm doing white collar criminal defense, or go back to doing corporate law. He's worked for a hedge fund before. He's on the board of Lockheed Martin. He lives in like a $3.5 or $4 million house. He's done very well for himself, and I'm sure he will continue to do well for himself because, oh, by the way, remember, there's half the country that wants to believe Jim Comey, not just Beltway Democrats, because they don't like President Trump. That's the depth of the analysis. So, all those people who were decrying Jim Comey 2 weeks before the November election
love him now.
Now find him to be a paragon of moral virtue and a tower of integrity. I mean, it's just absurd. Tony on the South Side. The man who gave us the moniker Tangerine Jesus.
Tangerine Jesus. Yes, sir. Hey, good morning, guys. Listen, this is what I wanted to say. For me, watching that train wreck on the TV yesterday, this is what I came away with that. The liberals' loyalties to mooks, and not just Robbie Mook, but this mook. And if you guys know what a mook is, an Italian colloquialism, that's a childish, stupid idiot up there. It just reinforces that, the Democrats keep throwing these guys out there because they're just showing that their loyalty to these consigliaries they put out there is horrific. I mean, these guys are idiots. Now, on top of that, when you look at what, our Tangerine Jesus does, he appoints somebody, let's say the saint of chaos, Mad Dog Mattis. Come on, that's a great pick, right? Yeah, Robbie Mook, this guy Comey. What a bunch of chooches, man. I'm glad. Just keep this thing rolling, man. This is nice. I like this.
Thanks for the call, Tony, and for using chooch and mook in the same call, which is not easy to do. Robert in Oak Brook.
Yeah, my one question would have been, if I was one of the suits asking questions, when they both had a private dinner, and the only thing I heard on the news for 2 or 3 days and in the papers was that Comey was only given 1 scoop of ice cream, and Donald Trump was given 2. So I would have asked, which kind of ice cream would you have chosen? Maybe Rocky Road? Something along those lines?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks for the call. Maybe
it's a
he's
metaphor for something coming down the road.
Thanks for the call, Robert. Maybe Comey's upset that he got 1 less scoop than the president.
Well,
Maybe he's upset that it wasn't 1 serving of ice cream and 2 spoons.
Oh, that's right, that they didn't get to share the sundae.
Mike in Union.
Morning, Dan and Amy. How you guys doing? Hey, there's all this talk of the Russians trying to influence our democracy and willing and unwilling accomplices. I think we found out who the unwilling accomplice was, and it's James Comey for being an idiot through the media and believing all this stuff that's going on. Now we know who it is. That's what I learned yesterday.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks a lot.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you? You don't even look like the same person." He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Hey, the Bolingbrook Golf Club. It is the location of our annual golf outing. Sponsored in part by Joe Cotton Ford. But guess what? There's more than just golf at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Spend Independence Day at the Bolingbrook Golf Club this year, complete with food, fun, and a spectacular fireworks show. Get all the details at BolingbrookGolfClub.com. That's BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Message and data rates may apply.
Would you rather get your degree from one of the most innovative online universities in the country or one of the nation's most affordable? How about both? Now you can at Southern New Hampshire University. Get degree information and see how to apply online by texting the word FRESH to 554433. College tuition is skyrocketing, making getting a degree almost impossible for too many, but it doesn't have to be that way. Founded in 1932, Southern New Hampshire University has the credibility of a New England campus, but by offering programs online, we've made education incredibly accessible and affordable. You'll discover knowledge and skills from instructors who are leaders in their field. Plus, you get all the flexibility, support, and encouragement needed to prepare you for the career you've always wanted. Southern New Hampshire University. See yourself succeed. Grab your smartphone and do the smart thing. Get degree information and see how to apply online by texting FRESH to 554433. That's FRESH to 554433.
Hey, you got a great night's sleep last night. You know why? Because I have an appointment every evening with My Pillow. Oh, it's made right here in the U.S. of A., manufactured in Minnesota, using American labor. And our good friend Mike Lindell is offering a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. And right now in the month of June, you will receive the 50% off the My Pillow 4-pack. That's 2 premium My Pillows, 2 Go Anywhere My Pillows, all for the price of 1. And you can move the fill to give you the exact support you need, regardless if you sleep on your back or your side. So call 800-489-0201, use the promo code Amy, or visit mypillow.com, promo code Amy. They're hypoallergenic, and the best part is you can wash them and dry them at home. You don't have to take the pillow to the cleaners. 800-489-0201.
Need a new CPAP? Then we need you. We're CPAP.com, and we recently overstocked the world's best CPAP machines. Top-of-the-line devices from brands like ResMed and Philips Respironics. Call now and get one of these overstocked CPAPs for a fraction of the price. We'll even give you free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-600-5909. The best part? No insurance needed. We're giving out these CPAPs at prices so low, they'll cost less than your copay and deductible through insurance. CPAP.com has shipped over 1 million orders and has the world's largest selection of CPAPs and accessories. With no retail overhead or costly middlemen, we're the best way to get comfortable, effective sleep apnea equipment at incredibly low prices. Again, CPAP.com has overstocked premium CPAPs. Call now to get a ResMed or Philips Respironics machine for a fraction of the price with free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-600-5909. Hurry. When these overstocked CPAPs are gone, they're really gone. That's 1-800-600-5909.
Anarchists taking to the streets. Hollywood more vocal than ever. Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer making baseless accusations on a daily basis.
And again, the facts are what are important.
And the press has lost all objectivity, responsibility, and quite possibly their minds. One thing is for certain. We must be doing something right. Keep calm and listen. AM 560, The Answer.
5:56. Let's get an update on the early morning ride to work in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. As always, here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Well, the inbound Kennedy now has a heavy pocket from the River Road toll to Canfield. It's 22 minutes from O'Hare to downtown. Outbound fine at 20. The Edens remains clear. Inbound Eisenhower delays start at Wolf Road. 35 minutes, Thorndale to the post office downtown. Outbound fine at 29. Inbound Stevenson, it is heavy with delays starting at Willow Springs Road. It is 56 minutes from 355 to Lakeshore Drive and 46 from the Tri-State. Fine outbound. Ryan, 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 22 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop 425, there's a large pothole at Cottage Grove between the left and center lanes. Traffic service of Napa Auto Parts. This month at participating Napa Auto Stores, the easy-to-use AC Pro refrigerant with pressure gauge and quick connect hose is just $33.99. So keep your ride running longer, stronger, and cooler all summer long with AC Pro refrigerant. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte at AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues after a full update from Fox News and your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Heat wave tomorrow into Tuesday. For today, intervals of clouds and sunshine with a shower or a thunderstorm around for the afternoon, high 84. Patchy clouds tonight, low 61. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
67 at O'Hare, 65 degrees along Chicago's lakefront. The news a service of Jewel Osco. Shop Jewel Osco's 3-day sale and save on St. Louis-style pork spare ribs, just $1.99 a pound. Limit 5 slabs. A 6-ounce package of fresh blackberries, just 89 cents. Select varieties of Doritos are only $1.88. Limit 2. $5.59 in Chicago. In the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, here are the stories we're following this morning. One woman is dead after being struck by a metro train on Chicago's north side. It happened last night near the Clybourne station on Ashland Avenue. Authorities are investigating a deadly shooting near the University of Chicago. A man was found shot last night in the parking lot of an apartment building in the 6200 block of South Ingleside, and no one is in custody. Kenosha police have released the names of 2 men fatally shot during an apparent domestic incident on Thursday. One of them is a 23-year-old from Waukegan. Rockies ride a 4-run second to a 4-1 win over the Cubs. The Rays went out to a 6-0 early lead. Hold on for a 7-5 victory over the White Sox at Tropicana Field. Again, 66 degrees officially at O'Hare. WIND Chicago News Time, 6.
He's back tweeting. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News. Comey is a leaker. Wow. That's in President Trump's first tweet since the fired FBI director testified at the Senate, writing despite so many false statements and lies, total and complete vindication. The president's critics disagree.
America is stunned. The cloud hanging over this administration has just gotten a whole lot darker.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, after Comey said he thought President Trump was asking him to let ex-National Security Director Michael Flynn off the hook in the Russia probe. Comey did admit to senators he leaked his own memo that got out in the media. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the former FBI director's admission that he sent his memo to a friend he knew would pass it on to the New York Times, drawing the ire of the president. His personal lawyer, Mark Kasowitz, plans to file a complaint with the Department of Justice's Inspector General's office and the Senate Judiciary Committee.
There have been and continue to be those in government who are actively attempting to undermine this administration.
Kasowitz said appropriate authorities will determine whether the leak should be investigated. Dave.
Rachel, this political uncertainty in Britain again the day after an election. Fox's Simon Owen live in London.
Dave, Prime Minister Theresa May's Conservative Party losing its majority in Parliament. A surprise result and a rebuke for May, who called this election early, hoping to strengthen her mandate ahead of Brexit talks. But May's party is still the largest party, and she sounds bullish about staying on as Prime Minister, saying stability is needed.
The Conservative Party will ensure that we fulfil our duty in ensuring that stability.
May meeting with the Queen shortly, asking permission to form a government. Dave?
Simon, a Washington, D.C. police officer's in critical condition after surgery. The morning after he and another officer on bike patrol were run over by a pickup truck at a high rate of speed. A third person was injured as well. 2 people in the truck were arrested. Fox News, fair and balanced.
When you think about spring, what comes to mind? Baseball, tulips, spring cleaning? How about cleaning up your home? Hi, Amy Jacobson here to tell you about our good friends at CertaPro Painters. Spring has arrived, and it's a great time to focus on your exterior painting. Don't deny how ugly it is. You know, the chipping, peeling, eyesore of a front porch. So do what I did and call CertaPro Painters now. 1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. They really are the best in the business. They're clean, responsible, talented. They increased our property values. They're such a top-notch company. They've been around for 25 years and counting. So do what I did and experience the CertaPro difference. 1-800-GO-CERTA or CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters, we do painting. You do life.
The key to success? Keep it simple, especially when it comes to hiring. And nobody makes it easier than Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions. Manage your candidates from one dashboard. According to an independent study, 5 times more hires are made through Indeed than any other job site. New users claim your $50 credit to post a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Summer involves a lot of driving, to camp, to work, to soccer, back home to grab what they forgot, and then back to soccer again. So wouldn't you like to know your car is up for it? Enter Hum by Verizon. Now you can check your car's health from your phone with vehicle diagnostics, drive with more peace of mind thanks to 24/7 emergency assistance, and let the kids stream and game on the go with your car's own Wi-Fi hotspot. Get Hum and get where you're going. Learn more at hum.com. Verizon Wi-Fi available on HumX only. Data usage applies. Coverage not available everywhere. Visit vzw.com for availability.
Here's a celebration not to miss. I encourage you to join my friend Matt Podgorski and the Northwest Side GOP Club as they celebrate President Trump's 71st birthday, which is also a Flag Day, and Make America Great Again night on Wednesday, June 14th. If you're a member, it's free. Non-members pay only $10, and snowflakes pay $20. There will be appetizers and a cash bar. The party starts at 5, so stop by after work. There will be a 50-50 raffle, silent auction, giveaways, and Todd and the 10 Pins will perform. With all that's going on in Chicago, the Northwest Side GOP Club's mission is to inspire thought and action to set things right in Chicago, politically, fiscally, socially, and culturally. President Trump's birthday is Wednesday, June 14th, and Chicago is celebrating at Revel Bar at 6169 Northwest Highway. For more information, visit northwestsidegop.com. That's nwsgop.com. And I encourage you to consider becoming a member of the Northwest Side GOP Club as well. It's only $35 a year. For more information, visit nwsgop.com and like NWSGOP on Facebook.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Empowered Investing, the show dedicated to investors. Heard Saturdays at noon right here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Do you believe a word Jim Comey says? And I'm going to try and apply a standard that few in the political world are applying. I'm not just going to believe the things I want to be true that he said and not believe the things I don't want to be true. I don't believe any of it. I don't trust the guy. I don't believe he is a person of integrity. I don't believe he is a person who abided the canons of his profession, being a lawyer. I think he did an awful job as the FBI director. I'm almost totally uninterested in what he has to say, except as he can prove it with evidence. But his opinions, his characterizations, his feelings at the time, his bootstrapping feelings after the fact about this event or that conversation mean absolutely nothing to me because he is an untrustworthy individual. And if you don't trust somebody,
then you have nothing.
Really, there's no nothing
basis,
to talk about.
There's no basis for a relationship if you don't trust somebody.
Right. And so just start with this, and let's take a little walk down memory lane, a little flashback before we fast forward it to the present day, to yesterday. The people that are holding Jim Comey out as, oh boy, as you heard Schumer during the Mike Scott's newscast, the cloud over the Trump administration has gotten much darker because of Jim Comey's testimony. It was so revelatory. It's so important. And, of course, that necessarily means that this is a person of integrity. Well, let's just go all the way back to 6 months ago when one Senate minority leader, Chuck Schumer's colleague there, Harry Reid, said, you know who else is colluded with the Russians in addition to President Trump, President-elect Trump at the time? Jim Comey.
Well, it's obvious he was a partisan in all this.
Comey?
Yeah, part of Comey, yes. It's obvious. There's information out there. He had it, I'm confident, and he ignored it. And we know from other reports we've seen from all you guys, there were reports in the people in the campaign for Donald Trump were in touch with the Russians. And now it's very clear. One of the biggest mysteries that people think exists, why didn't he do something? No, there's no mystery to me.
No mystery to Harry Reid. Jim Comey colluded with the Russians. That's 6 months ago. And, of course, we've got a highlight reel for you of Democrats on Comey before they fell in love with him all over again.
What I do know is this, that there was an extensive, as you know, Brett, investigation by the FBI under the direction of a wonderful and tough career public servant, Jim Comey. He's somebody with the highest standards of integrity.
I think Director Comey could not have been more exhaustive.
I am grateful for the professionalism of the FBI and the Department of Justice.
This is a great man.
When
we
Hillary
are very
was
privileged in
exonerated.
our country to have him be the director of the FBI.
No one can question the integrity, the competence.
I don't know whether your family's watching this.
Oh, yeah.
But I hope that they are as proud of you as I am.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the best.
They loved him after he exonerated Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened 2 weeks before the election with the UMA emails. Then he was colluding with the Russians, according to Harry Reid. And now he's all the way back again, rekindled the love affair with the Democrats. The overriding takeaway I have from this entire saga over the course of the last 18 months, it is all political, at least with respect to Trump and most everybody else involved, perhaps not Flynn, but at least with respect to the President of the United States, who's the focus here, this is nothing, literally nothing, other than politics.
Well, yesterday was a chance for Comey to say goodbye to his buddies. They were called the Comey's homies, the FBI agents who lined up at 4 a.m. to make sure that they were there to support their boss. And he had something to say to them.
It was the honor of my life to serve beside you, to be part of the FBI family, and I will miss it for the rest of my life.
I got a little teary-eyed there and, took a pause. But, I mean, to me,
this
he
is a
seemed
real
like
Lou Gehrig moment.
He seemed like a scorned lover who got emotional after being dumped. He called President Trump a liar 3 times or said that he lied. And that's why he wrote those memos, because he thought that President Trump would say something different.
I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting, and so I thought it really important to document.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But what did we learn yesterday?
Well, I mean,
what did you out there learn? How did you process it? 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment.
We learned how his memos, his musings about his meetings and conversations with President Trump got to the New York Times. We learned that. And it's interesting.
But he's a leaker.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, because that was in one breath. And with Comey's consistency, the Comey standard of consistency, which is to say no consistency, he tubed the New York Times report about the multiple contacts. February 14th report, which the New York Times reported, U.S. investigators had intelligence showing Trump associates had repeated contacts with Russian intelligence. Okay, that was the New York Times story. Here's Comey with Idaho Senator James Risch on the topic.
I remember you talked with us shortly after February 14th when the New York Times wrote an article that suggested that the Trump campaign was colluding with the Russians. You remember reading that article when it first came out?
I do. It was about allegedly extensive electronic surveillance.
Correct.
Communications. Yes.
And that upset you to the point where you actually went out and surveyed the intelligence community to see whether you were missing something in that. Is that correct?
That's correct. I want to be careful in open setting.
I'm not going to go any further than that.
Okay.
So thank you. In addition to that, after that, you sought out both Republican and Democrat senators to tell them that, hey, I don't know where this is coming from, but this is not the case. This is not factual. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. So again, so the American people can understand this, that report by the New York Times was not true. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, in the main, it was not true. And again, all of you know this, maybe the American people don't. The challenge, and I'm not picking on reporters about writing stories about classified information, is the people talking about it often don't really know what's going on.
Yeah. So I believe Jim Comey as much as I believe the New York Times, which is to say one organization that is trying to promote a particular narrative about this administration, I mean, and about conservatives in general, anybody that doesn't abide the line of liberal orthodoxy. And then Jim Comey, who is just awash in contradiction on a range of topics yesterday and again over the last 18 months.
But you know who got hit hard yesterday was the media. I mean, CNN, New York Times, ABC News all kept saying, oh, it's going to come out during these hearings that Donald Trump demanded that he stop the investigation. And this is
wrong.
Listen, Senator Burr.
Did the president at any time ask you to stop the FBI investigation into Russian involvement in the 2016 U.S. elections?
Not to my understanding, no.
And he went on to repeat that 3 different times. So there's nothing there. They had to eat crow. And CNN did offer, on their website an apology.
Yeah. Well,
yesterday for having the wrong sources.
Well, one of the wrong sources is Jim Comey.
Right.
I mean, it's just what he says in an open setting. Sean Davis over at the Federalist pointed out, Comey claimed that I hope was a clear directive from Trump. I hope this goes away, right?
Right. That's saying this has to go away.
That's a directive from Trump. And then he also said that he doesn't know Trump well enough to read him.
I took it as a direction. Right. I mean, this is the President of the United States with me alone saying, I hope this. I took it as this is what he wants me to do. Now, I didn't obey that, but that's the way I took it.
So it was a directive I didn't obey, but I don't know the president well enough to read him. Well,
And then
and I made no further inquiry. I didn't obey it because I thought it was improper.
Right.
That would be the only reason you wouldn't obey it, right? But I said nothing to him. I didn't challenge the president. I didn't say anything to anybody else. I testified before Congress that no one has tried to interfere with the investigation. So did my deputy director. And I don't know the president well enough to read him. Make sense of that mess. This is a former deputy attorney general, former U.S. attorney, the director of the FBI.
Who's now playing like a victim.
It's not because he's not intelligent. It's because he is morally pliable. He is in the business of reputation management, not character, the character necessary in those high-profile, high-pressure jobs to do what you believe is right, consistent with the canons of the legal profession.
And this question was asked over and over again.
Do you sense that the president was trying to obstruct justice?
I'm sure the special counsel will work towards to try and understand what the intention was there and whether that's an offense.
But his intention was to get back at Trump. I mean, he intentionally leaked the memo from the February 14th meeting to his professor friend, who then gave it to the New York Times.
Right.
So that there would be a special prosecutor assigned, so that would loom over the Trump administration for a year and a half.
So he made a determination about Hillary Clinton, but he was unwilling to publicly disclose his, until now, his determination on President Trump that he's not a target of the investigation, and unwilling to make any further determination on the matter. He just used a cutout to leak a memo in the hopes a special counsel would be appointed. Again, the standard of conduct based on the target. Something else, he took directive from Loretta Lynch, call it a matter, not an investigation. He was happy to align his rhetoric with the rhetoric of that the Attorney General wanted at the time and that the Hillary Clinton campaign was using. He was happy to do that. Also, Sean Davis over the Federalist makes the excellent point that Jim Comey previously, when he was at Justice, threatened to resign over a policy disagreement with the Bush administration. But when Trump allegedly told him to drop an investigation, not only did he not threaten to resign, he said nothing. And why did he say nothing? He doesn't know. He was stunned. Honestly, here's what I would love to hear. I have yet to hear this. I want somebody to make a case that this was an accomplished FBI director who did an excellent job. Nobody is saying that. I don't know, and I read a lot of stuff, and I listen to a lot of stuff. I haven't seen anybody make that claim and try and
even Chris Cuomo didn't this morning on CNN.
And try and make out that case. And then, secondly, that this is a credible person. Anything that he has to say, unless he can prove it with beyond a reasonable doubt to apply the legal standard, I'm just uninterested in hearing from him because he's not credible. Make the case that Jim Comey's credible. Whether he's saying the New York Times is wrong, I'm not even taking him at his word at that, even though, I think the New York Times is routinely wrong. And we'll get to the New York Times.
Okay.
Izzy in Chicago. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, guys. You do a great job. I just got to tell you this. Comey did more to ruin his reputation by having these after the fact decisions of writing this stuff down. I don't understand how that's even an issue. That shouldn't even be brought up. He shouldn't be allowed to tell us about his thoughts in the bathroom after the meeting. He felt really, like he was lied to.
He felt icky. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
His
right.
nickname should be Pee-wee Comey.
One of those reverse nicknames because he's a big boy.
He's
Thanks for the call,
huge.
Izzy.
I mean, what is he 6'9", 6'10"?
6'8", something like that.
Oof.
Sean Davis in The Federalist. At some point, it may be time to consider the possibility Comey's a scheming coward who only comes clean when he has nothing left to lose. I'll consider that.
Yeah.
Paul on the South Side.
Dan, am I mistaken, or in Comey's testimony yesterday, did he say that something to the effect that interfering or trying to affect American elections has been a long-term practice or program of the Russians?
Yeah.
For something, he did say that.
Yeah.
So after all these years of them probing our elections and trying to affect them, this time it's a big deal because why?
Well, the argument is that because the Trump campaign in some material way colluded with the Russians to facilitate the hacking of the election. That's the charge. There's no evidence to support it, but that's the charge made by Democrats.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Thanks for the call, Paul. Appreciate it.
I know Trump's attorney was happy when he heard about that Comey's a high-level leaker.
Mr. Comey has now admitted that he is one of these leakers.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what else he leaked. I mean, do you think this is his first time doing this? Doesn't sound like it.
I don't know. Holly and Hudson.
Good morning. When a liar calls you a liar, it really doesn't matter. And in fact, a poll taken November 8th said 67% of the people who voted said that they felt Trump was an embellisher or a liar. And half of them voted for him anyway. So when the mainstream media today is running around with their hair on fire because a liar called a liar, it's so baseless and it means nothing, carries no weight. It does not move the needle in a negative direction in Trump's way at all, I feel.
Thanks for the call, Holly. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I said earlier, Comey was just another, or to borrow a Dennis Millerism, Earl Scheibed politician in that room. So basically what you had is a bunch of politicians suggesting that the politicians not aligned with them are lying. So it's just like any other, it's like a political campaign. You're a liar, no, you're a liar. That's what it was. That's why I don't know. What people take away from it, obviously, certainly may be different than what I take away from it. I just don't see how this actually materially helped Jim Comey as much as obsessed he is about his own reputation. But
President Trump is. Oh, sorry.
But it just leaves. He took enough shots at Trump where you still question the president's credibility, and the president's credibility is an important thing. Taking what Holly said, notwithstanding, the president's credibility as an honest broker is an important thing to move an agenda. It's part of his political powers, the trust of the American people, thus the support of the American people. But is there anything you take away from this that changes your perspective on issues going forward, that changes your perspective on either President Trump or Jim Comey? Not for me.
President Trump, after not tweeting for more than 24 hours, he has tweeted, despite so many false statements and lies, total and complete vindication. And wow, capitals, letters, Comey is a leaker, exclamation point.
And he's got a media avail with the Romanian president today, too. So we'll see if he chooses to say more. I would advise him not to, but he's probably not going to take my advice. Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Thanks, Dan and Amy, for taking my call. I watched all of the testimony of Comey, but at the very end, it really caught my attention. What is wrong with Senator McCain? He just seemed incoherent, and I managed to try to figure out what he actually tried to say, and it seemed to be, why aren't we looking at the Democrats and Hillary Clinton's collusion in hacking or involved in the election? But Senator McCain was just like totally incoherent.
Well, he had sleep deprivation because he watched a late night baseball viewing. That's what he blamed it on.
Mm-hmm. And I also don't believe John McCain. And
I know.
Add him to the list of people I don't believe.
Can I have a big Senate intel hearing? You think he'd, shut the game down early, go to sleep?
Yeah.
Nice excuse, huh?
Since McCain has been such a critic of Trump, let's apply the same aspiration we have for Trump to McCain. Get a script and stay on it.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
There was a bar in Washington, D.C. that anytime Trump tweeted, they were going to hand out free shots. And it never happened because he didn't tweet because he was with his attorney watching the hearing. I'm sure his attorney had a smartphone. Forecast, conjecture on my part, but forecast for today, clouds and some sun. We could have a shower or thunderstorm around this afternoon, a high of 84 degrees. Saturday, mostly sunny, breezy, hot, a high of 90, and the real heat kicks in on Sunday. We're going to have a high near 95, but we could peak out at the record high of 97, and that's going to be a hot one, so get your air conditionings ready. Let's go into the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center to always a hot spot. Here's Jim Telemonte.
We'll have lots of hot spots, Amy, this weekend with so many festivals and events around Chicago. You've got Blues Fest at Millennium Park, Printers Row Lit Fest, already street closures in the South Loop at Polk and Dearborn for that. Make sure your car is ready for that travel up and about with the heat coming, and there will be extra service on the public transit lines this weekend. Right now, things aren't too bad for the most part. Eden's inbound. Got a 2-minute delay, Peterson to the junction. Outbound, it's fine. Kennedy, about a 2 or 3 minute delay from the River Road toll to Canfield. The Eisenhower's 40 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 32. Stevenson, 53 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Rhine is 28 minutes, 95 to downtown. I-57, 22 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford, 21. Northbound Tri-State heavy at 290 and 80-94. Now has roadwork delays westbound. Broadway decline. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do on this show each morning. Long-form interviews in our Against the Current series this week featuring State Senator Dan McConkey, freshman Republican from Hawthorne Woods, who introduced a constitutionally balanced state budget without a tax increase. And, of course, Chicago Democrats immediately dismissed that. We'll talk about the state budget impasse, Illinois' credit downgrade, and a bunch of other matters. We did talk about that with Senator McConkey. It's worth checking out if you want to understand what's happening in Springfield. In addition to that, we do podcasts for our Illinois Rising program, which covers Illinois state politics and policy. We have a new series we just launched called Heart of the Matter, which is women across various demographics talking colleague to colleague about the issues of the day. This time it's about school funding and local referendums. Also, 60 Seconds of Sanity commentaries by me, 2-minute warnings about bad actors in public office, dollars and cents, about how your money is being spent by politicians in Chicago and the state of Illinois. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
When your company hires or promotes employees, human resource decisions are critical. Trusted by some of the most respected companies in America, local, veteran-owned and certified Global Verification Network is a background screening company dedicated to the expert delivery of screening services for employment, property rental, and business transactions. Custom compliance screening programs individually tailored for your unique needs. Visit globalverificationnetwork.com or call 877-695-1179.
Your company's information is mission critical to your operation. With the ever-increasing demand for IT talent, smart companies depend on Archer Staffing. For over 4 decades, Archer Staffing has provided custom solutions and the highest level of customer service. For contract IT, contract to hire, permanent hire, and recruitment process outsourcing, Archer Staffing is your IT solution. For information, call Archer Staffing 312-637-5082 or visit archerstaff.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Bob Aument, a founding partner of the law firm of Dassman & Aument and longtime personal customer of Signature Bank. Our firm recently left one of the larger banks to bank with Signature Bank, and it's been a refreshing change. With Signature Bank, we've been able to tailor banking solutions that fit the specific needs of our firm. Beyond that, Signature Bank is responsive, efficient, and timely in meeting those needs. If I have a request, I pick up the phone and talk to Mick O'Rourke, not someone at a phone bank thousands of miles away. Dassman & Aument needed more than what the larger banks offer, and we found that with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And in my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Hey guys, Ken here from the hit podcast Today's Growth. We all know increasing revenue's tough, but did you know that 100% of main sources of income fail? The odds are 100% that your current main source of income will someday no longer exist. 439 of 1955's original Fortune 500 are no longer around, yet their industries and even their product lines still thrive. What happened to these companies? Simple. They didn't believe that 100% of main sources of income fail. They never added a second revenue model. For years, my friends at Income Store have helped both households and businesses build second, third, and even fourth revenue streams. When it comes to helping people create their next revenue model, both Forbes and Inc. recommend Income Store as a can't miss. Could your household or business use an additional revenue model that doesn't solely depend on you? If so, you need to check out IncomeStore.com. That's IncomeStore.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Nice. I like this song. Billy Squire. Uh-huh.
Don't Say No. Love that great album.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer. What are we doing, Dan?
Well, we'll continue to talk about Comey, particularly a revelatory piece in the new Criterion about how the New York Times reports.
Oh.
Very interesting. And also get an update on the British elections. Theresa May dealt a blow yesterday. Now she's trying to bootstrap a minority government. And finally, a billboard in Indiana that details the rather despicable history of the Prophet Muhammad. Should it come down? Is it in poor taste? We'll discuss 636.
And later, Addison Russell told to stay home because of an Instagram post. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
64 degrees in our Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. British Prime Minister Theresa May overnight faced some calls to resign after her Conservative Party lost a few seats in yesterday's snap election. Now, you recall May called that early election in a move to try to add to her party's majority in Parliament ahead of Brexit. Instead, Conservatives are 7 seats short of a majority. But May is expected to cobble together a governing majority after she meets with the Queen this hour. The German government is hoping that Brexit talks will start soon after the British elections, noting that EU members would have to agree unanimously to extend the 2-year deadline for negotiations. Japanese internet, solar, and technology company SoftBank is buying robotics pioneer Boston Dynamics from Alphabet. That would be Google's parent. Terms of that deal announced this morning, including when it might close, were not disclosed. Tokyo-based SoftBank includes many different robotic type companions, and Boston Dynamics includes Pictures of what you've seen, those big dog and spot robots, complex machines that walk and trot on four legs. Former FBI Director James Comey says he has no doubt that President Trump fired him because of the Russia investigation. In that closely watched Senate hearing yesterday, Comey called that a very big deal. What he was not able to say, however, was whether he believed President Trump was trying to obstruct justice. Trump tweeting this morning that Comey's testimony totally vindicated him. The Georgia woman accused of leaking classified intelligence to the media pleading not guilty. A judge denying bail for reality winner yesterday. Hot weather hitting Chicago today. The National Weather Service says highs could reach the upper 80s tomorrow, 90s through the rest of the weekend. An investigation continues following a deadly mobile home blaze in Oak Lawn. 2 trailers caught fire early yesterday near 90th and Cicero. One man found dead at the scene was stabbed. A second man who died at a nearby hospital has been identified as Randy Chabala of Midlothian. And police in Dalton are interviewing 6 people at the scene when the decomposing body of an infant was found in a shed there this week. Rockies over the Cubs, Rays over the White Sox. The news a service of Jewel Osco. Shop Jewel Osco's 3-day sale. Save on St. Louis-style pork spare ribs, $1.99 a pound. Limit 5 slabs. A 6-ounce package of fresh blackberries, just 89 cents. And select varieties of Doritos are only $1.88, limit 2. 6:34 is our time. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Dennis Prager Show.
Dennis doesn't believe America's resilient. And he's right, I don't. I do not believe it is resilient enough to withstand what Europe could not withstand. The takeover by the left in terms of values, economy, politics, and everything else that comes with leftism. It's like the blob. It takes over. It just takes over.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Give Dad the perfect Father's Day gift and earn $25 in Cabela's Bucks when you spend $150 or more in-store. Shop in-store and online.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
6:36. Let's get a check of the roads this morning in our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, the very latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The CTA is reporting delays on the purple and brown lines right now. This is due to police activity at Merchandise Mart. The trains are moving again. On the north side, Foster is closed. Broadway to Winthrop. There's been a crash. A semi snagged some power lines. Their poles down. Edens Expressway, 21 minutes like Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Kennedy, 26 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 22. On Eisenhower, 48 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 33. The Stevenson is now 59 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 44. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown, northbound Tri-State. Bumper to bumper, Roosevelt to North Avenue. The other tollways are light. Westbound 8094 is heavy Broadway to climb. Traffic is a service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. That's 5% on all purchases in-store or online. Subject to credit approval, U.S. only. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business. Since 1935, cloudy with sun and clouds in the middle of the day, maybe an afternoon shower or thunderstorm, high 84. Patchy clouds, 61. Mostly sunny, breezy, hot and humid tomorrow, high 90. Currently 65. Next news coming up at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour radio show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshell Financial Group.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy comes your way now. And make sure to join me, Larry Elder, tonight at 7, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I feel like I need to cleanse my palate of Comey
Okay.
for a bit. Is that fair?
No, I think we can give everybody a break. It's not just about you, Dan.
No, I'm saying. I know people are interested to talk about it, but there are other things to talk about, things that are going on prospectively. Like tomorrow, there are anti-Sharia rallies in 30 cities, including Chicago. 9 a.m. tomorrow, there is a Chicago March Against Sharia downtown, and of course that's generating counter-protests as well. This is being described by the left, like Dean Obadiah, who we've had on the show, as anti-Muslim hate on the march in 30 cities this weekend because the Southern Poverty Law Center says Act for America is a hate group. By the way, there's a great piece on the history of the Southern Poverty Law Center by our friend Carl Canover at Real Clear Politics from a couple of months ago that details the history of the Southern Poverty Law Center and how it's actually a promoter of hate. So the Southern Poverty Law Center saying another organization is a hate group is like Jim Comey calling Donald Trump a liar.
Okay.
Nobody has the moral standing to make the claim.
Yeah.
But on the issue, you attending the anti-Sharia rally in Chicago? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Or at minimum, do you think it's a good idea to have a public stand to make sure that people know that the battle is joined, to send a message to politicians that they need to stand up against radical Islamism in this country the way that Western Europe hasn't until perhaps recently?
Do you think it's a safety issue? I mean, do you think that these groups, these rallies, these people are going to be targeted by anybody with bad intentions?
Perhaps. I don't know. I think you, as an American, you have to express yourself courageously.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly in the face of individuals who want to eliminate your right to express yourself at all, much less courageously.
I mean, I could go and I'm not against Muslims, but I'm against some certain things that they practice and certain laws that they abide by, such as Sharia law.
Mm-hmm.
I like equality for women.
So if the rally is not in poor taste, what about this not blackboard, but
billboard?
Billboard. That's what I meant to say.
We have a chalkboard and a billboard.
It's an all-black billboard.
Okay.
With the headline, "The Perfect Man." It's in Indiana. The perfect man. Underneath are 6 bullet points to describe that man. These points include married a 6-year-old girl, slave owner and dealer, 13 wives, 11 at one time. The bottom of the billboard in yellow sits the word "educate truthophobes." And the descriptions, these bullet points, are describing the Prophet Muhammad, who, of course, received the omniscience from Allah and conveyed it in the Hadith and the Quran. So what about that? Is that in poor taste? Senator Todd Young, Republican in Indiana, "This is beneath us, disturbing and divisive. Displays like this incite and offend rather than educate."
But it's the truth.
It is.
But my friend who's Muslim said to me, well, Amy, he had a wife who was 6 years old at the time, but people died at the age of 20, so that was okay.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
That's the defense?
That's what he told me. He said, because he thought that he died when he was 25, and it was okay to...
I've heard the defense of contextualism. You have to take historical figures at the time period in which they live.
Right.
You can't advance them and apply our moral coda today to them 1,400 years ago. I disagree with that.
But a 6-year-old is still a 6-year-old.
I disagree with that.
Prepubescent. Gross.
Yeah.
But beheading of 600 Jews in one day, yeah, that's a fact. That's Truth. 13 wives, 11 at one time. That's true. Tortured and killed unbelievers. That's a fact.
Divisive.
Don't we have a freedom of speech? They have every right to put that billboard up.
Mm-hmm. And there's going to be one of these anti-Sharia rallies in Indianapolis tomorrow as well. The point is the point of these rallies. Sharia is incompatible with our Constitution, with American values. We stand against female genital mutilations and child marriages. Okay, that seems to be a legitimate position to take, I would say. So on the one hand, you have this billboard in Indiana that details the ignominious history of the Prophet Muhammad. On the other hand, you've got Charlie Hebdo. Boy.
Yeah. What are they thinking?
Most recent issue of the French satirical magazine, you remember, of course, their office shot up by radical Islamic terrorists, many members of their staff murdered not so long ago.
12 murdered.
The June 7th issue of Charlie Hebdo features a beheaded British Prime Minister, Theresa May. Beheaded. Have they hired Kathy Griffin to be their art director?
That's the first thing I thought of. Oh, look, they took a page out of Kathy Griffin's comedy book.
Again,
well, it leaves you scratching your head. I mean, but what was the article that went along with it?
There are, the rights to free speech and free expression in places like Britain and France are not our rights.
Right.
They're not as expansive as our rights. People are prosecuted, fined, even up in Canada too, for quote unquote hate speech. So Charlie Hebdo, it's interesting what is tolerated and what is not tolerated. Not that any speech of this sort, any satirical political speech, should be censored, because I don't believe that. I have the American perspective. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy of those that live in countries and abide governments that do pick and choose which political expression is acceptable and which is not. Pretty kind of interesting stuff. I mean, after what happened to Charlie Hebdo, you'd think there would perhaps be some lessons learned, but when it comes to the left, boy, they're just sort of intractable on these matters.
I mean, the cover's tasteless.
What do you think about that billboard in Indianapolis?
I'm fine.
Or in Indiana.
You know what? I'm fine with it because it's just the facts.
Because you're not a truthophobe?
No, I'm not. I just, it doesn't offend me. It's just people want to know more about Islam and Muhammad. There you go. That's some information about it. They put it right out there for you. You don't even have to Google it. Just drive down the street.
Yeah, and of course you have Indiana Congressman Carson, who has had some colorful rhetoric of his own during his tenure in Congress. He just calls that billboard fear-mongering. No organization is claiming responsibility for it. It's just the educate truthophobes is the indicator, the only indicator. Mike on the north side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Really, what's wrong with Sharia? Isn't that what the Democrats have been pushing in this country all along? They hate the Israelis. They don't like gays. They enslave women. What's the difference? You either pay women 70% or you give them slave wages, make them work as contract employees, or else they work for Uber. I mean, the Democrats treat people just as bad as ISIS does.
Thanks for the call, Mike. I wouldn't go that far.
That's a bit of a stretch.
You're also starting from some of the premises of the left, like women make 70 cents on the dollar, which is a big lie, propaganda. But no. No. Mike will not be an anti-Sharia march speaker.
Did you see the Saudi Arabia? I know you don't watch football, European style, but
that's called soccer.
It's called soccer, but over there it's called football.
We're not over there.
Australia played Saudi Arabia, and they had a moment of silence because one of the London victims was from Australia. They didn't even stop practicing or warming up. They just, because the Australian team huddled together and had a moment of silence, and they were shocked. I mean, they didn't care. They knew what was happening, but they just kept warming up and talking to each other, and so that says a lot too.
Yeah. It does say a lot.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, Addison Russell told to stay home because of something on social media. But first, here's your forecast. Plenty of clouds and sun today, but a shower or thunderstorm around this afternoon, a high of 84. And then with it, it'll bring some heat and humidity over the weekend. Saturday, mostly sunny, breezy, and hot, a high of 90. On Sunday, we could hit the record high set near 97 degrees back a few years ago. Temperature between 94 to 97 on Sunday. Let's get into the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center to a man who can speak. Here's Jim Telemonte.
We'll try. Amy, good morning. And we have another problem on the north side affecting Foster Avenue. It's closed right now between Broadway and Winthrop. A semi snagged some power lines, pulled down 2 poles. The Foster is closed there. Try to avoid the area. Aiden's eastbound on the spur, it's heavy past Waukegan Road. Then you're looking at 21 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 25. Kennedy. Right now it's 35 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 29. The Eisenhower's getting heavier. 53 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. 38 from Manhunt, outbound 33 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 44 minutes. Ryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State northbound, slow 87th to Archer, and very slow Roosevelt to North Avenue. The other tollways are still fairly light. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Yahoo shareholders approve a $4.5 billion sale to Verizon. The Nordstrom family may buy out the balance of outstanding shares. Those stories next.
Ever since the 70s, Americans from every socioeconomic strata have been held hostage by imaginary energy shortages. Think I'm exaggerating? Just Google oil embargo and you'll see pictures of lines of cars miles long waiting to get gas. But that's all about to end. There's a new compound that could be about to turn the fuel and automotive industries on their ear. And it's one of those investment opportunities that comes along once in a generation. Companies like Ford, Chrysler, Honda, GM, and Toyota are quietly investing billions to accommodate this new OBL superfuel that could put an end to America's dependence on foreign oil once and for all. Now you can learn more about this opportunity when you call 800-642-9454 or visit oblsuperfuel.com to get in on the ground floor before it's too late. Call 800-642-9454 now to get a seat in a free webinar that can show you how to capitalize on this opportunity. Call 800-642-9454 and leave an email or visit oblsuperfuel.com. 800-642-9454.
Brought to you by Money Map Press.
Google and Facebook about to get a challenger in the digital advertising field. Yahoo shareholders have approved the $4.5 billion sale of its websites to Verizon. As part of that deal, Verizon's AOL will partner with billions of Yahoo users. As part of that deal, Verizon's AOL will partner with Yahoo users, millions of them. And members of the Nordstrom family who own 30% of the store that bears their name are considering a plan to buy out the remaining 70% of Nordstrom stock they don't own. Nordstrom shares jumped 12% after the announcement of that proposal. Economic reports today, the latest figures on wholesale trade, and Al Jazeera's various satellite networks have been hit with a large-scale cyber attack. The Qatar-based firm says its various platforms remain, however, operational. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Hey, thinking of getting engaged to that special person in your life? Well, I have the perfect place for you to go. Visit Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler in downtown Libertyville. Roland's engagement rings are gorgeous, and they're a direct diamond importer. That means wholesale prices on quality diamonds. Shopping for an anniversary or birthday gift but don't know what to choose? Well, Roland's offers a large selection from designers like Hearts on Fire, Simon G., John Hardy, and Roberto Coin. Their knowledge and friendly staff can show you quality switch watches like Tag Heuer, Michel, Longines. Roland's Jewelers is well known for excellent customer service, too, including custom designs and jewelry repairs by their expert craftsmen. Let Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville make all of your special occasions memorable. Visit RolandsJewelers.com or call 847-918-7300. That's 847-918-7300. Roland's, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
Yes, indeed, summertime. Another hot one. Wait, gonna be a little bit cooler today. Back to hot, gonna be windy. Maybe a thunderstorm mixed in for good measure. Up and down and up and down. The climate is always changing. Your company's heating and cooling system really gets a workout in Chicagoland. Be ready for anything this summer. Call Air Comfort and get your business's cooling system tuned up and running at peak performance. You see, the Air Comfort problem solvers can find small problems before they become big problems. Plus, proper maintenance will keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your chiller is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key to keep your climate from changing is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
Hey, do you want insurance for your computer network? It'll make you feel better. It's, give you some peace of mind. And using Turnkey IT for installation and support of your systems is like having insurance for your computer. For one affordable monthly payment, your company gets a full team of certified technicians who are there working for you in the background to ensure your systems are up and running. They'll help you over the phone and make house calls to your workplace. And Turnkey IT, they don't wait until there's an emergency because they work hard to take preventative measures to keep your network secure, backed up, and running nonstop. So reach out to Turnkey IT for this insurance for your computer network. Go to turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
If your roof is needy, if your roof is leaky,
call Grumweedy.
If your roof isn't right after it's stormy and shingles are curly,
call Grumweedy.
If your roof is looking needy, call Crumweedy. This is Mark Olson of Crumweedy.
And I'm Greg Olson from Crumweedy. We are a third-generation family-run business. We've been doing Chicagoland roofs since 1953.
You really can't do that unless you do really amazing roofs. We share the same conservative values as you, and we really want to do your roof. Here's what you can expect.
First, no high pressure. You make the choice. Whatever option you choose, count on getting a roof that lasts at a fair price.
You see, application is really the key. We follow the manufacturer's specifications so your warranty is intact. You know, a lot of companies don't do that, and that could really void your warranty.
No horror stories here. The roof you need that will fix your problems. When your roof is needy,
call Grumweedy.
For your needy roof, go to myroofisneedy.com. myroofisneedy.com.
Hi, Barry Sterner, owner of your premier home mortgage lender, Townstone Financial. Interest rates are extremely low, so there's no better time than the present to do a no closing cost refinance with Townstone Financial if your interest rate is above 4%. Remember, Townstone has completed thousands of no closing cost refinances since 2002. And don't worry, there are no hidden costs. I guarantee it, and I own the company. We can also customize the payback period so you don't have to start over at 30 years or 15. Last week, I began a no closing cost refinance where the borrower was going to save over $100 per month. That's $1,200 a year. So give me a call now at 312-896-2111 and let me review your current situation. Lastly, do you have mortgage insurance or an FHA loan? Let us see if we can remove the insurance payments, which will dramatically reduce your monthly payments. The call is free and so is my time, so dial 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111 or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com. Townstone Financial is an Illinois mortgage licensee 6629 and MLS 136639, equal housing lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, yeah. Dan's favorite song. If anybody watched the game last night, they noticed that shortstop Addison Russell was not present because Major League Baseball didn't let him go to the game because they're investigating a domestic violence accusation against him. Here's what happened. His wife, Melissa, posted a photo. Did you see this picture, Dan?
I thought it was because he was using chewing tobacco and Ed Burke sidelined him.
No, he had to stop using chew.
Oh, yeah.
But his wife, Melissa, they got married in January 2016. She posted a photo on Instagram on Wednesday with a caption suggesting that he was unfaithful to her. She posted a photo of herself in a bathing suit in a body of water, and the text read, quote, "Being free to be able to make your own choices for your own happiness beats being cheated on, lied to, and disrespected any day. Hashtag here's to a new beginning. Hashtag only gets better from here." So that was fine. But in another post, a day later, her friend, Melissa's friend, put in the post that Russell Addison was mentally and physically abusing her. The post was deleted, and then Melissa's post was deleted. But, these days, any whiff of domestic violence and you get benched. So the Cubs aren't investigating. Major League Baseball is investigating. And Joe Madden, the Cubs manager, God bless him.
So in a situation like this where it's very easy to be accusatory, I choose not to be. I choose to listen.
But what I'm upset about, it's an unsubstantiated social media post. I mean, why do they have to insert themselves? It's not even verified. Chicago police have received no reports or any allegations against Russell for domestic violence. So why? Because this is the new normal. This is the culture we live in. Because anybody can launch anything against anybody on social media.
Well, right. It's sports are PC. They're like which is to say, they propagate lies. That's what political correctness is. It's lying, and so they're like a college campus, which is every man is a rapist in waiting. Every man has to prove his innocence in a case where an allegation is made, particularly even in cases where the allegation is fabricated. Think University of Virginia, the story is wrong. Or even in this case, the wife doesn't make the allegation, a friend does. I mean, it's
so silly, but fans aren't happy.
Unfair for somebody to just launch allegations like that on Instagram?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's unfair, but at the same time, if there is some truth to it, then maybe that needs to be addressed.
Well, maybe it would need to be addressed if there's some truth to it, but of course you want to hear from the wife.
And real quick, he said that any allegation I've abused my wife is false and hurtful. For the well-being of my family, I'll have no further comment. That's from Addison Russell.
Perhaps Putin would want to weigh in on this. Putin did an interview with Oliver Stone, and like the Megyn Kelly interview, a lot of it was left on the cutting room floor, but has subsequently been posted. One of the things that Putin said to Oliver Stone while he was giving Stone a tour of the Kremlin's gilded throne room, Stone asked Putin if he ever has off days. Putin responded, "I'm not a woman, so I don't have bad days. I'm not trying to insult anyone. That's just the nature of things. There are just certain natural cycles." So perhaps that could help clear up the Addison Russell situation.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Brett Baer will be here from Special Report, but now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan here are the stories we're watching at this hour. Hot weather barreling into Chicagoland this weekend. First black chief pilot in the United States retiring. We'll tell you who. Clouds and sun in your forecast. NWIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Total and complete vindication. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump tweets. His first reaction to the testimony from the FBI director he fired. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, President Trump tweeting, "Wow, Comey is a leaker," apparently referring to the former FBI boss's stunning admission that he sent one of his memos to a friend who passed it on to the New York Times. The president's personal lawyer, Mark Katzowitz, is filing a complaint with the Justice Department Inspector General and the Senate Judiciary Committee.
We will leave it to the appropriate authorities to determine whether these leaks should be investigated along with all the others that are being investigated.
Comey testified he leaked the memo in hopes a special counsel would be appointed. Dave?
Now, Rachel, Democrats hardly think the president was vindicated.
I think there's certainly evidence that was presented in his testimony that the president may have sought to interfere or obstruct the investigation.
Adam Schiff's the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee probing Russian meddling. She wanted to burn the White House down. That's what prosecutors say. An accused NSA leaker wrote in a notebook, so she remains behind bars. Fox's Tanya J. Powers on the case live.
Dave, reality winner pleaded not guilty. Then a federal judge denied her bond. Prosecutors say she still may have more of the stolen secrets. She's a former Air Force linguist who speaks Arabic and Farsi and had a top secret security clearance. Winner was working as a government contractor when prosecutors say she copied and mailed a report with top secret material to a news organization. She faces a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison if she's convicted, Dave.
Tanya, political unrest in terror-stricken Britain.
People voting for hope for the future.
Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn didn't win but took enough votes away from the Prime Minister's party. Theresa May no longer has a majority, but she says she has no plans to step down.
As I say, the country needs a period of stability.
May's just left a meeting with the Queen saying she'll build a coalition government. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
65 degrees, clouds and sunshine at 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott in the Nissan of St. Charles Newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage Warranty. Hot weather slamming Chicagoland this weekend. Temps jumping into the low 90s on Sunday and Monday with heat indexes that could soar near 100. One man is dead following a fire on Chicago's west side. Blaze breaking out early this morning inside a three-story home in the 1100 block of South Laughlin. An investigation continues following a deadly mobile home blaze in Oak Lawn. 2 trailers caught fire early yesterday near 90th and South Cicero. One man was found dead at the scene, stabbed. Second man died at a nearby hospital. One woman is dead after she was struck by a metro train on Chicago's north side. The incident, according to police, happened last night near the Clybourne station on Ashland Avenue. Authorities investigating a deadly shooting near the University of Chicago. Police say a man was found shot last night in the parking lot of an apartment building in the 6200 block of South Ingleside. The victim pronounced dead at the scene. Governor Rauner says he's willing to call special legislative sessions to force lawmakers to approve a budget. AM 560's David Stewart with more.
Governor Rauner's blasting the Democrats for holding hearings on the harm done by the lack of a budget. He says that's not news.
My heart's broken by the human service agencies, the social service agencies, many of which my wife and I have been supporting ourselves for years.
House Democrat Greg Harris predicts quick action on a budget before the end of the month, but he says passing a budget is just one step.
And that we hope when a budget gets to the governor's desk that he does what he needs to do and signs it.
Rauner continues to insist that reforms be part of any budget deal. David Stewart, NBC News Radio, Chicago.
Northside aldermen planning to vent their anger at a city contractor in charge of replacing water mains because of what aldermen say has been slow and slipshod work. Aldermen will hold a hearing next week to call NPL construction onto the carpet, creating traffic and pedestrian hazards, leaving open holes and piles of gravel and debris on the city streets. Companies working on a $92 million city contract. Pioneer pilot from the Chicago suburbs calling it a career. Captain Louis Freeman was honored yesterday after flying into Midway Airport for the last time. He became the country's first African-American chief pilot and is retiring after flying for 3 decades for Southwest. Rockies beat the Cubs, Rays over the White Sox. The news service of Napa Auto Parts this month at participating Napa Auto Parts stores. The rugged Bluetooth speaker with 20-hour battery life is just $29.99. That's right. Now you can have the freedom to play music wherever you please for just $29.99 while supplies last. 7:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
A good parking lot is essential to a good building and a good business.
This is Kevin Berquist. My company is SKC Construction, home of GreatParkingLots.com. Great parking lots. The name says it all. We make your parking lot great. We are an industry leader in seal coating. You can trust our company to do the work for your company. We have the same traditional values as you. We use a process and application that makes sure you get a great job that lasts a long time. I guarantee you'll have a good experience. Go to our website, GreatParkingLots.com. Check it out, GreatParkingLots.com.
Go to GreatParkingLots.com. Schedule a free inspection and get a quote to make your parking lot a great parking lot. Save the expense. Fix, don't replace. Contact SKC Construction now for commercial parking lot seal coating and maintenance. SKC Construction, home of GreatParkingLots.com. GreatParkingLots.com.
When smart businesses need to grow their team, they do it on the site proven to deliver, Indeed.com. According to an independent study, Indeed delivers 5 times more hires than any other job site, more hires than the rest combined. And right now we're giving new users a $50 credit to post a sponsored job, boosting your listing and relevant search results. Claim your $50 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Summer involves a lot of driving, to camp, to work, to soccer, back home to grab what they forgot, and then back to soccer again. So wouldn't you like to know your car is up for it? Enter Hum by Verizon. Now you can check your car's health from your phone with vehicle diagnostics, drive with more peace of mind thanks to 24/7 emergency assistance, and let the kids stream and game on the go with your car's own Wi-Fi hotspot. Get Hum and get where you're going. Learn more at hum.com. Verizon Wi-Fi available on Hum X only. Data usage applies. Coverage not available everywhere. Visit vzw.com for availability.
7:07, And a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Like on northbound I-65, traffic is stop and go from 61st Avenue to 8094. 8094 has westbound delays, Broadway to Klein Avenue. The Edens Expressway is 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 38. The Kennedy, 32 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 17 from Montrose. No savings in the Express, outbound 29 minutes, downtown to the airport. About Eisenhower, 53 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, 38 from Manheim, outbound 34 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 58 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 49. Ryan is 30 minutes, 95 to downtown. Tri-State northbound heavy from around the 87th Street area to Archer, and Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis, and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Southbound, there's a delay. The Stevenson to 75th, crash in the left lane. The other tollways are light. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Heat wave tomorrow to Tuesday. Clouds and sun today with an afternoon shower or thunderstorm around, high 84. Patchy clouds through the night tonight with a low 61. Then a mostly sunny and breezy day tomorrow. Gusts up to 30 miles per hour, high of 90. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 66 degrees. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella. Heard each and every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, I think from Jim Comey's testimony yesterday, two things are pretty clear. Lying occurred and obstruction of justice occurred. Lying by Jim Comey and obstruction of justice by Loretta Lynch. And so I look forward to the resolution of those matters. You know when you know somebody's a liar to the point of it becoming a pathology? When they lie about things they don't need to lie about and are easily disproved. So, for example, Jim Comey yesterday talking about Jeff Sessions' recusal from the Russian collusion investigation. He said, "We are aware of facts that I can't discuss in an open setting that would make his," meaning Sessions', continued engagement in a Russia-related investigation problematic. The Department of Justice shot back after the hearing yesterday saying, March 2nd, we sent an email to Comey and other officials that said, quote, after careful consideration following meetings with career department officials over the course of the past several weeks, the AG has decided to recuse himself from any existing or future investigation in matters related in any way to campaigns for the President of the United States. So that seems fairly clear. And also, since Comey said Trump was not a target of the investigation 3 times, according to his own opening statement, what would the nefarious, obscure, other facts I can't discuss in an open setting about Jeff Sessions' continued participation possibly be? It's just so tiresome. I don't know that there was much here. I don't know that Trump's standing has improved among those who find his credibility lacking. And I don't think Jim Comey's standing is improved by those who find his credibility lacking, which has basically been everyone, depending on where we are in the whole process over the last 18 months, from Democrats loving him when he exonerated Hillary Clinton to hating him when he issued that letter, corrective letter, if you will, a couple of weeks before the election, Uma's emails, and Harry Reid accusing Jim Comey of colluding with the Russians after the election, to now he's back in good standing and he's a tower of integrity again.
Well, everyone saw this hearing differently, that's for sure.
All right, for more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by Brett Baer, of course, host of Fox News' Special Report.
Watched him last night.
Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. Chicago time. Brett, thanks for joining us.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Good morning. One of the other inconsistencies, new revelation yesterday. Revelations are always new, so it's a bit redundant. Sorry about that. Catherine Herridge, your excellent colleague over at Fox News Channel, making the point after it was revealed that Comey had leaked his notes from the Trump meetings, calls to a friend as a cutout to get it to the New York Times, that was inconsistent with Comey's last testimony before Congress, that he has not and will not be an anonymous source on any of these investigations. So just a wash and contradiction is the former FBI director, isn't he?
Yeah, I think, listen, you're right that both sides see what they want to out of this deal. But, President Trump and his attorneys have things that they can be happy about, that he had confirmed that Comey had told him 3 times that he wasn't the target of the investigation, that President Trump said, hey, listen, if there are satellites of mine or in the campaign, people who are doing something bad in regards to Russia and connection, go after them. And on the flip side, the people who are opponents of the president, look at Comey and the way he described the clearing out of the Oval Office and the saying, I hope you can get away from the investigation with Michael Flynn, and they see obstruction. I think that there is it's a tough case to make unless we see another shoe drop on details of some other element. It seemed like there was the one incident, and then there was no other effort to ever interfere or stop or slow down the investigation in any way. And the Michael Flynn investigation, Comey said, is kind of tangential to the Russia investigation. He called it side by side, but not really integral to what they're looking at.
So where do we go from here?
Well, I think it's all Bob Mueller's game, and I think there's a hope that this goes quicker. Now that Comey's testifying, that he's opened up the door to these memos. You always wonder how special counsels, if they're going to go to something else. Remember Ken Starr started at Whitewater and ended up at a blue dress. So you wonder where it's going to go. But I think that Bob Mueller might be zeroed in on Russia, and it's just a matter of time.
And so, with respect to Comey, do you think this is the last we hear from him? Please say yes. And or will he? Or is it possible that he, depending on how he reviewed his own performance, rethinks the invitation he got from the Senate Judiciary Committee, or continues to provide more color on this since he? The New York Times is re-investigating stories they've previously reported based on what Comey said about their reporting, and DOJ is firing back, as I mentioned at the outset, at Comey. And he's stirred the pot, more controversies, more back and forth.
Yeah, I don't think it's the very end that we've seen with Comey. I think that you're going to see the memos. I think you're going to hear from him probably again. And who knows? He's probably going to do some interview. He may write a book. He has a flair for the dramatic in his the way that he reads things. I do think that that there were inconsistencies with what he was saying and what we saw from anonymous sources. And even Comey said many of the stories that we've seen on this issue of Russia have been wrong, dead wrong were his words.
Hey.
So I just think that this hyperventilating about coverage until we know all the facts is, I think, frustrating for middle America, and they'd rather have Washington do something.
Hey, Brett Baer, if Comey writes a book, it could be titled The High-Level Leaker, because that was quite a bombshell yesterday when he admitted, who he gave that memo to from the February 14th meeting and why he did it. He said he did it because he wanted a special prosecutor assigned to the case.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a really big deal. You never hear that. We know that leaking goes on. There's a former official says, yes, I gave it to a friend to give it to reporters so that I could influence the decision to have a special prosecutor. That's pretty stunning.
Well,
but I will say that, the tweets from the president, they have not precipitated good things, I think is a general statement.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I think that's a fair statement. And Comey's just a political animal. I mean, he's basically, my read on him is he's it's hard to distinguish him from the inquisitors yesterday. He's just another guy, to borrow Dennis Millerism, Earl Scheibed into looking somewhat consequential, whose his game is reputation management and political positioning. And
here's the biggest problem is that when the president, who, remember, is a New York real estate developer, is in the Oval Office with Comey and says, how about a little something for the effort? Just how he operated in New York.
Right.
And when that happens, the fact that the creature of Washington does not say, Mr. President, with all due respect, that's inappropriate. We need to get back my boss, Attorney General Sessions, and you can't be saying that sort of thing. Or the fact that he doesn't say other things to other people. That's the real problem here.
Well,
not the actual, reporting of it.
And all you have to do is, you don't even have to kind of, divine Comey's intentions. All you just have to look at his history of behavior. So this is somebody who was threatening to resign from the Bush administration when he was at Justice over a policy disagreement, but he's unwilling, as you just described, to stand up to the president or say anything to anybody else that he subsequently finds to be inappropriate.
He said all hearing long that he was cowardly and he should have stood up, and I wish I had done it differently. Well, he's been in Washington forever.
Right.
What? I don't get it.
Well,
it doesn't make sense.
And he was willing to be courageous to exonerate Hillary Clinton. He decided to take on that mantle. But when it came to Trump, he's leaking memo notes to a Columbia law professor to get to the New York Times.
Is there not a detailed memo about the Lynch conversation? If he's so concerned, when Lynch says, don't call it an investigation, call it a matter, and he's concerned about it, why doesn't he write a detailed memo about that with the grandfather clock on the wall and other things? I mean, it just does not, the whole thing doesn't add up. And that's his problem.
Give us the temperature, as you understand it, from the kind of inside the Trump administration about this, how disruptive it is to his domestic policy agenda in particular, and what, if any, insights you have in terms of how they're hopefully trying to pivot to get back to that domestic policy agenda.
Well, I think it's going to be tough. It's delayed. They're running out of days. Unless they keep Congress in session, they're going to run out of days. The Senate, there are optimists who say the health care bill is going to get through the Senate before July 4th. I don't know if that's possible. If McConnell can herd the cats, maybe just on the impetus that if you don't do something, you're going to lose big donors. Then they send it to a conference committee and try to deal with health care. But tax reform, they're on the early stages, and infrastructure is definitely next year. So these investigations have really slowed the Trump train, if you will.
All right. He is Brett Baer, host of Fox News' Special Report, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. Chicago time. Brett, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Coming up next, what was your take on the Comey hearing? 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. Sunshine today, some clouds, a shower or thunderstorm around this afternoon, a high of 84. Then it's just going to be a hot and humid weekend. Saturday, sunny, a high of 90. And on Sunday, we'll have some sun, so a big breeze, and hit a record maybe of 97 degrees. Now, let's get into our alarm detection systems traffic center. A man who's always hot, good looking. Gosh, that's wildly inappropriate. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Amy. If only it were true. Thank you, and good morning. Good morning, Dan. Chicago's north side, we got kind of a hot mess. Foster and Broadway, they're semi-snagged some power lines and pulled down 2 poles. The buses are being rerouted. Foster is closed Winthrop to Broadway. On the Edens Expressway, inbound, just a little heavy. Foster to the junction, 20 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose, but outbound 38. Kennedy, 32 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 29. The Eisenhower, 50 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 33. Stevenson, 57 minutes. 355 to the drive, outbound 42. The Rhine is 29 minutes. 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, the only delay right now is 18th to the Stevenson. Tri-State northbound slow, 95th to 75th. There's a southbound crash, just cleared. and heavy Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Northbound I-65 is heavy from 61st Avenue to 8094. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Hey, next Thursday is our Bolingbrook Golf Club annual. No, can I have it start over? Next Thursday is our golf tournament.
We are on the air. I don't know if you're aware.
Golf tournament is Thursday, and it's sponsored in part by Joe Cotton Ford. Of course, we're going to be playing at the Bolingbrook Golf Club, but there's more than just golf there. Celebrate Independence Day with food, fun, and fireworks. Find out all the details at BolingbrookGolfClub.com. That's BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
Looking for a fun summer vacation idea? Charlottesville in Albemarle County, Virginia is a short and easy trip with daily nonstop flights on 2 airlines from O'Hare. Tour the homes of former Presidents Jefferson, Monroe, and Madison. Sip wine at one of the area's 30-plus wineries. Take a hike in Shenandoah National Park. Dine al fresco at one of the many farm-to-table restaurants, or stroll down one of the longest pedestrian malls in the country. Plan your trip today at visitcharlottesville.org.
My name is David Hochberg, Vice President Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. If you're purchasing a home within the next year, this is very important. Your credit score is the most important factor in determining your interest rate and monthly payments. I strongly advise listeners purchasing a home to contact me as far in advance as possible so I can pre-qualify you for free. I will analyze your credit and make recommendations to improve your credit scores so you can secure the lowest rate when purchasing a home. Paying banks and other lenders a fee to get pre-qualified is ridiculous. If you're purchasing a home, give me a call now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com and get pre-qualified for free. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License T 4358, and MLS 19186.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
Hey guys, Ken here from the hit podcast, Today's Growth. We all know increasing revenue's tough. But did you know that 100% of main sources of income fail? The odds are 100% that your current main source of income will someday no longer exist. 439 of 1955's original Fortune 500 are no longer around. Yet their industries and even their product lines still thrive. What happened to these companies? Simple. They didn't believe that 100% of main sources of income fail. They never added a second revenue model. For years, my friends at Income Store have helped both households and businesses build second, third, and even fourth revenue streams. When it comes to helping people create their next revenue model, both Forbes and Inc. recommend Income Store as a can't miss. Could your household or business use an additional revenue model that doesn't solely depend on you? If so, you need to check out incomestore.com. That's incomestore.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, I have a question, Amy. I'm a little concerned that I may be implicated in the Russian collusion investigation. Here's why. Since there is no evidentiary standard for being a subject to the investigation, I have a connection to Russia. And I should disclose this because it informs...
This is important. Listen up, everybody.
It informs my reviews of this whole matter, and I want to just be honest with our listeners. So I have a Kanuku, an Arubian Kanuku. That's my dog, Hayek.
Yes, I love Hayek.
Right, Arubian Kanuku.
Named after the Nobel Prize winner in economics.
Right, Frederick von Hayek,
Thank you.
exactly.
Everybody names their dog Hayek. But anyway, go on. I love Hayek. Hayek loves me, and Hayek misses me right now.
Does
and I
it?
miss Hayek. My beep.
So here's the thing.
Yes.
Laika was the dog that went up in Sputnik, the first animal to orbit the Earth. I mean, he orbited the Earth dead, but never. She orbited the Earth. Well, I mean, it overheated within hours.
Oh, that's right.
You know. So a couple things. One is my dog is like cosmonaut quality. I mean, he can go out and again space exploration. This is somebody who
he's a pioneer.
He may be the first dog on Mars. We don't know. But here's the thing. Laika, Arubian Kanuku.
Oh, they could have the same bloodline. You can get a DNA test for your dog, you know.
There are statues of Laika, the Arubian Kanuku, all over Moscow.
I'm going to look him up right now.
So, I mean, so I don't know if that implicates me as a
Russian collusionist?
Collaborator or not. Oh, let's take some calls on Comey's testimony. Chris on the Indiana Toll Road.
Good morning, Dan and Amy.
Hi.
I just want to say, Paul Ryan has to ignore what Brett Baer was just saying. If we don't seize some kind of legislative initiative, then I really wonder what the heck we've been working for all these years. I mean, there's a Republican House, a Republican Senate, a Republican White House, and we're letting the Democrats wander around in all of this stuff that you guys have been talking about. Don't you think Paul Ryan should start moving an agenda instead of just, I think he's laying down on his congressional sofa watching the Nats game.
Well, I agree with you that they need to pick up the pace. There was some rays of hope. Yesterday, Dodd-Frank repeal and replace advanced. Now it goes over to the Senate where it'll, languish for a time, but at least that moved. But you're right, Chris.
They got the ball rolling on that.
Thanks for the call. On tax reform in particular, I think, is what he's talking about with respect to the House. And when Brett Baer said early stages of tax reform, chop, chop. Let's get going. Jeff in Chicago.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for putting me on. I'll preface this by saying I don't think my politics line up with 560s or you guys is very much at all, but I listen to you every day because I think it's important not just to listen to the yes voices,
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you, I think the left looked completely foolish yesterday, and I think Comey is the guy who comes away laughing, and I actually think the right looks pretty silly yesterday, too. He came in there, he kind of gave each side a bone, right? He threw here's Trump, the guy who's supposed to be the Washington outsider, who's obviously just as capable of all the slimy backroom deals and, I'll scratch my back, you scratch yours, kind of type thing. And then for the left, what does he see? He also didn't break a single law. There's obviously no obstruction of justice. It's a big wash is what it is. And the only guy who was smiling at the end of the day, I think, is Comey.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, I mean, I think that's a fair analysis, though, Jeff. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it from your perspective, too.
He was angry. Comey wanted to, he wanted to state his feelings because he got fired. He got the rug pulled out from under him, didn't get to say goodbye to the troops.
Yeah, but he got to say what he wanted to say in National Comey Day. So I think Jeff has actually a pretty good point. And by the way, if that throw each side a bone was some kind of reference to my Arubian Kanuku.
I'm looking at the Russian dog that went up in space. It looks like Hayek. I really think they're from the same bloodline.
He does bark in Russian.
Coming up.
We'll take more of your calls on Comey and do a little flashback to to Jeff from Chicago's point about the situational ethics, not just of Comey, but of the politicians inside the Beltway as well. That's at 7:37.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Hayek was only saying yet to going for a walk. That's all he was saying. Clouds and sunshine. We have 65 degrees and the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. In the wake of the Comey testimony yesterday, West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin saying this morning he has no reason to believe the former FBI director was not being honest and straightforward.
We were in an open meeting. He was sworn in under oath. He is a professional law enforcement officer at the highest degree, knowing the consequences if you lie under oath to a Senate committee.
President Trump's outside lawyer, Mark Kasowitz, says a public cloud over the president has been removed.
Comey's testimony also makes clear that the president never sought to impede the investigation into attempted Russian interference in the 2016 election.
Kasowitz rejects Comey's claim that Trump asked him for loyalty. Golden State, the Warriors can make history tonight. With a win in the NBA Finals, sports history that is, it would give the Dubs their second title in 3 years, and a win over the Cavaliers in tonight's Game 4 would make Golden State the only NBA team to ever go through the postseason unbeaten. Tip-off at 8 tonight. British Prime Minister Theresa May facing calls to resign, but those calls are weak after her Conservative Party did lose seats in yesterday's snap election. May called the early election to add to her party's majority in Parliament. Instead, they are 7 seats short of a majority. However, May is meeting with the Queen at this hour and is pledging a coalition government. Boeing looking into technology today that would allow the Chicago-based jetliner company to fly their planes without pilots. The jet maker's vice president of product development says the basic building blocks of the technology are already in place. Hot weather hitting Chicagoland this weekend. Temps in the low 90s. Heat indexes could soar over the 100 mark. A man is dead following a fire this early morning on Chicago's west side, while an investigation continues into a deadly mobile home blaze in Oak Lawn where 2 were killed. Rockies ride a 4-run second to a 4-1 win over the Cubs, while the Rays hang on for a 7-5 win over the White Sox. The news service of Napa Auto Parts this month at participating Napa Auto stores. The easy-to-use AC Pro refrigerant with pressure gauge and quick connect hose is just $33.99. So keep your ride running longer, stronger, and cooler all summer long with AC Pro refrigerant. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Dennis Prager Show.
Dennis doesn't believe America's resilient. And he's right, I don't. I do not believe it is resilient enough to withstand what Europe could not withstand. The takeover by the left in terms of values, economy, politics, and everything else that comes with leftism. It's like the blob. It takes over. It just takes over.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, best beans, best roast, best coffee.
You need to switch your cell phone service to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile was founded to support conservative causes while providing the same great nationwide cell phone coverage that you're already used to enjoying. Patriot Mobile allows you to donate up to 5% of your monthly bill to the conservative organization of your choice at no extra cost to you. Do what I'm doing. Do like me. Switch to Patriot Mobile and support the conservative agenda. Switch today and get a free iPhone with a $50 unlimited talk, text, and data plan, or a free Galaxy phone with a $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan. They will also buy out your current contract up to $500 per line. There's no catch. Call 800-A-PATRIOT, and Patriot Mobile will even waive your activation fee with promo code Joe. Or go to patriotmobile.com/Joe.
7:36 and a check of the roads. In the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. The Edens Expressway has pretty heavy outbound delays from Montrose much of the way to Willow. It's 40 minutes, Montrose to Lake Cook. Inbound is 20. Kennedy, 37 minutes either way between O'Hare and downtown. The Eisenhower, 50 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. Outbound 33. Stevenson, 57 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 42. Bryan is 29 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, slow Irving Park to North Avenue and 18th to the Stevenson. Tri-State, northbound heavy, 111th to 75th. Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial now slow, Butterfield to Roosevelt and Army Trail to 290. We now have delays on eastbound 8094 from Central to Ripley. Traffic, service of Cabela's. Father's Day, a day to say thanks to the most important guy in the world. This year, give him the perfect Father's Day gift and earn $25 in Cabela's bucks when you spend $150 or more in store. Shop in-store and online. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Providing the right climate for business since 1935. Clouds and sun with a shower or thunderstorm around this afternoon, high of 84. Our updated temperatures 68 at O'Hare, 71 at Midway, and 71 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy's. Well,
breaking it down.
Amy, not Amy's. There's just one of you. Diogenes can continue looking for his honest man in Washington, D.C. because Comey ain't it. Here was Chucky Krauthammer's take on what the former FBI director offered yesterday.
I don't think Comey did himself any good for himself. He showed himself, I think he was credible, in part because he showed himself to be cowardly, caving into Loretta Lynch, characterizing the investigation into Hillary in a way that helped her campaign that he knew was wrong, but he did it anyway, and not objecting. Look, here's a central question. If you thought this was a obstruction of justice when Trump was asking you to drop the Flynn thing, why didn't you resign? Why didn't you even bring it up with the president or anybody in justice? I mean, this is a man, I don't know if cowardly is the right word, but he sure has post facto integrity.
Post facto integrity, I think cowardly is the right word. And remember something about cowards, something C.S. Lewis observed, which I cite often because it's a real deep insight into character. Courage is the formation of every virtue at its testing point. So in other words, if you don't have courage, it is impossible to possess any other virtue, like honesty, because when you are challenged, you will relent, you will retreat, you will fold. And isn't that the story of Jim Comey?
That's what he did. And he played the victim yesterday, too, because, as you know, a person who was abused didn't know how to stop it.
Why didn't you stop and say, Mr. President, this is wrong?
Maybe if I were stronger, I would have. I was so stunned by the conversation that I just took it in.
Okay. Well, that's why among the internet memes going around is I wish I would have been more courageous with Comey wearing a pea hat. We'll take your internet memes too. Twitter at Dan Prof, Dan Amy Jacobson, Facebook us. Describe them, tweet them,
just
text
love
them.
me, just like me. That's all James Comey wants.
And we'll take your calls through on 264-25600 turnkey.pro. Answer line. Do you agree with Krauthammer's assessment of Comey's performance? And I do mean performance. How about Janet in Peoria? You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I just had a couple points. I mean, I look at all of the information that's in the news now, and the collective conclusion that seems so obvious to me, and all, full disclosure, I vote Republican and voted for Trump. But I think it's pretty obvious that Trump didn't fire Comey because of the Flynn investigation thing so much as because he knew that Comey knew that he wasn't under investigation, and he basically asked Comey to tell everybody that so he could get onto his agenda, and he wouldn't do it. And the reason I think that's what the real motivation was is because his dismissal was more or less, thanks for telling me 3 times. I mean, his dismissal of Comey was more or less, if you're not going to tell him, I'm going to tell him, and here's how I'm going to tell him goodbye.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good point.
Obvious reason that he got rid of him.
Could be. That's a good point, reminding us what Trump said in the statement that he issued explaining the Comey termination.
Well,
That's
it's
right.
just kind of in keeping with his temperament, which, you know, is not always the best attribute of his. But the added thing, and that's my viewpoint, and I am admittedly a partisan, but when you look at the Jeff Sessions situation and the leaks that are coming out about how much pressure he's under, a lot of Republicans or right-leaning people will sit there and say things like, that's not happening, it's fake news, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that is fake news because it fits in, again, with what I view to be Trump's personality. Trump doesn't play defense. It's not what he does. And he's really ticked off that Sessions basically did what Republicans tend to do, which is take the high road, which is always viewed by Democrats as essentially weakness as opposed to principled conduct. And then what they do is they start this investigation with an independent, quote-unquote, counsel, and they apply enough pressure so that what wasn't a crime when they started the investigation will cause people to do things under pressure that they then can prosecute. It's like they start with a criminal and they're in search of a crime.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for the call, Janet. Good points. Appreciate that. And this is why there was opposition to the idea of a special counsel with, sort of boundaryless investigative powers, taking that could take this anywhere, and could take, any time, meaning all the time that he wants, and to have this lingering, and for the Democrats to be able to demagogue it to try and derail the domestic policy agenda. That's the concern, and it's a legitimate one. Wayne in Milwaukee, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I heard a comment before about on your show. The guy was talking about how Comey was talking under oath, and that he was a government official. He knew what the consequences were, et cetera, et cetera. But in everything you're talking about, I'm seeing like a game was played, because if you look at Comey's statement before his Senate hearing, he gave this big, long statement, and it was in the news all over the place. And then when he is in the Senate hearing, he gives a whole different statement, which is under oath. First statement is not under oath, and the second statement is under oath. And I think there's some major disparities there. And again, it's the game played kind of like what Crownhammer was talking about.
Was Comey sworn in before his testimony? I'm not sure that was under oath, but I'm sorry, Wayne.
They said it was under oath.
Oh, he was under oath? Okay, I wasn't certain on that. Okay, thanks for the call, Wayne. And your point, there's all kinds of inconsistencies, maybe less so with the prepared statement than the prepared statement versus when Comey gets into the back and forth of the question and answer. He can't keep all of his political anglings straight, and so he contradicts himself on a range of things, including, as you described, Amy, the bombshell about him leaking his memo notes through a cutout to the New York Times after previously testifying just a month ago that he is not and would never be an anonymous source with respect to any investigation. I mean, that's just one kind of black and white contradiction.
I just wonder what else he leaked, because I don't think this is his first time.
Monica and Lyle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, guys. How are you this morning?
Good.
Dan, I couldn't agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. This, Comey, just is a complete, as far as I'm concerned, a moral coward. 2, I think Trump better keep his tweeting on low-key, because if he doesn't, as far as I'm concerned, he will get hit with a process crime. I think that's what's going to happen to him. And 3, instead of putting his hands on the Twitter, he needs to put his hands on the wife. And instead of Twitter, you know exactly what I'm saying. This guy needs to focus on something else.
Yeah, I agree. All right, thanks for the call, Monica. Let's go to Jim in Lake in the Hills.
Good morning, guys.
Hi.
Hi. There was a point that was made yesterday I haven't heard anybody else comment on. When Jim Comey was asked about, he was asked if there was actual Russian interference, and he answered, yes, it was widespread, it was sophisticated, and it came from the very top. He mentioned that it had reached hundreds of nonprofits and government agencies, and he used the phrase, it was a spear phishing operation. Now, we've never heard what the actual supposed hacking was, and a spear phishing operation is, as anybody knows, when you're phishing, that's what Podesta got caught with.
Yeah, that's right.
Somebody sends you an email, and you open it up, and it executes a program that allows you access to their computer. So if it was a spear phishing operation, and that's all it was, it is not that sophisticated. Any 14-year-old with a computer can do it. And I think that it kind of puts into perspective what the real interference was.
Yeah, well, it also says something about their understanding of the sophistication of their targets. It worked on Podesta, as you mentioned. Thanks for the call, Jim. Let's go to Parker in Lake Zurich.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Amy. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
I think from the hearing, clearly James Comey, under oath, said his opinion about how Trump is a liar, and he said some other stuff, and I really don't think anything came out that was going to really be obstruction of justice for Trump. But I want to ask you what you thought about John McCain incoherently asking James Comey some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Parker. Yeah, McCain struggled through his portion of the Inquisition a bit.
Yeah, here, you just need a little listen.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't sufficient evidence to bring a suit against her, although it had been very careless in their behavior. But you did reach a conclusion in that case that it was not necessary to further pursue her. Yet at the same time, in the case of Mr. Comey, you said that there was not enough information to make a conclusion.
I mean, it got so bizarre that people were consulting each other on Twitter, only to find out that he said he was tired because he was watching the Diamondbacks the night before.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not a particular fan of John McCain, but this is a little overblown. McCain released a statement after the fact clarifying the question, the point he was trying to get to, which is a legitimate point, saying what I was trying to get to is to whether Mr. Comey believes that any of his interactions with the president rise to the level of obstruction. In the case of Clinton's emails, Comey was willing to step beyond his role as an investigator and state his belief about what no reasonable prosecutor would conclude about the evidence. I wanted Mr. Comey to apply that same approach to the key questions surrounding his interactions with Trump, whether or not the president's conduct constitutes obstruction of justice.
All right, well, that makes more sense.
He was willing, I mean, and this is, again, Comey's inconsistent application of a standard of conduct, his own conduct. He did step beyond his role as an investigator to make that statement about Hillary Clinton. He was unwilling to do that about Donald Trump, even while telling Donald Trump 3 times he's not a target of the investigation. So there's so many incongruencies with how Jim Comey behaved, which is one of the reasons you still are unable to find somebody to actually defend his job performance as FBI director. Somehow that's lost in all of this. No one will defend his job performance as FBI director because it is not a performance that's particularly defensible. Sean in Elmwood Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Did you ever wonder what the Jerry Springer show would look like if the clothes were provided by Brooks Brothers? Because that's what it was. And as you look at these buffoons, this is who makes our laws, who makes our regulations, and who spends our money. And these buffoons are who they put in the bureaucracy as the head of it. This guy, for 8 years, he was beyond reproach. He was the best it could ever be. And did you see him yesterday? Nothing but a 2-bit disgruntled employee. And as for the Democrats, all of a sudden we're worried about Russian collusion? Your entire platform is the Soviet Constitution. Bernie Sanders was a collaborator with communists for 35 years, and now you're worried about Russian collusion. And as for the Republicans, this is a bad lease on a lemon car. That's what the Trump administration is. No matter how much you polish it up or fix on it, it's going to break down because it has really, really bad ideas and really bad parts. And it's the same parts that were in the
That has nothing to do with this topic. It's not going to break down. It's not going to break down over. It's not going to break down over some Russian collusion investigation where you had Jim Comey essentially provide exculpatory statements to the world yesterday with respect to the president.
Dan, it's not about, I agree with you. It's not about this. This guy's pushing $1 trillion stimulus. They're pushing socialized medicine. Yesterday, while all this was going on, you know what the Republicans defeated? A bill that allowed poor people to buy hearing aids over the counter. So while all this drama is going on, we're going down the same road of corruption and nonsense because the lobbyists run our government.
Okay, Frank. Sean, thanks for the call.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Thinking of getting engaged to that special person in your life? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I've got the perfect place for you. Visit my friends at Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler in downtown Libertyville. Roland's Jewelers has a beautiful selection of engagement rings, and they're a direct diamond importer. That means wholesale prices on quality loose diamonds. Roland's is also the perfect place to shop for an anniversary or birthday gift. Roland's offers a large selection from designers like Hearts on Fire, Simon G., John Hardy, and Roberto Coin. Their knowledgeable and friendly staff can show you quality switch watches like Tag Heuer, Michel, and Longines. Roland's Jewelers is well known for excellent customer service. These guys are the best, including custom designs and jewelry repairs by their expert craftsmen. Let Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville make all your special occasions memorable. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. It's ROLLANDS, RolandsJewelers.com, or call them 847-918-7300. Roland's, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
Oh, school's over for many. If you weren't happy with your child's education in a public school, then you should go to halfpriceschools.com. At halfpriceschools.com, they have tuition vouchers for a full year for half the price. There's no catch. Their school's located in South Holland, Arlington Heights, Chicago, Antioch, LaSalle, Peru, Romeoville, Mount Prospect, just to name a few. But don't delay. Summer won't last forever, and schools will be starting again before you know it. So visit halfpriceschools.com today. Many of these vouchers have already sold out, so do not wait. Halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-ideas.com. Rachel Carson was wrong about DDT. Paul Ehrlich's population bomb was a dud. Fashionable global cooling predictions about a coming ice age thawed. Now Chinese communists, European socialists, Hollywood leftists, and Fortune 100 CEOs suggest that America's failure to lead from behind with our own unenforceable politicians' pledges on carbon emissions spells the imminent demise of our mortal coil. The culprit messing up the grand plans of the jet setters? Same as it's always been. The middle-income family and the small business owner-operator who seek pedestrian pursuits like a job or lower energy costs. You are the demons who must be slayed so that noted scientists like Leonardo DiCaprio, Bette Midler, and Governor Moonbeam can remake the world in their image. You left billionaire fossil fuels investor turned megafunder of leftist zealotry Tom Steyer with no choice but to term you traitors and declare war. You see, Trump isn't their real target, you are. And conservation isn't their real goal, control is. The left has been using environmentalism as their cover story to exert control over you for 50 years. Your existence doesn't doesn't threaten the planet, just the left's dominion over it.
Yes, indeed. Summertime. Another hot one. Wait, gonna be a little bit cooler today. Back to hot. Gonna be windy. Maybe a thunderstorm mixed in for good measure. Up and down and up and down. The climate is always changing. Your company's heating and cooling system really gets a workout in Chicagoland. Be ready for anything this summer. Call Air Comfort and get your business's cooling system tuned up and running at peak performance. You see, the Air Comfort problem solvers can find small problems before they become big problems. Plus, proper maintenance will keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your chiller is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key to keep your climate from changing is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gevalis, Joshi, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Kyle is a professional dog trainer.
Sit down. Roll over. Good.
When it comes to canine obedience, he's your best friend's best friend.
Oh, such a good girl.
And in his personal time, Kyle's a personal trainer.
Nice work on those planks, guys. Now roll over and give me 25 push-ups. 1, 2, good. Hey, keep that caboose down.
You see, no matter who or what he trains, Kyle knows how to get results. But when it comes to mortgages, he's less confident.
Guilty as charged.
Fortunately for Kyle, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's simple, so he can understand the details and know he's getting the right mortgage.
I like it, people. Who wants a treat?
Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Go to rocketmortgage.com today.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, some breaking news out of the UK.
Yeah, Theresa May and the Conservatives are trying to organize a minority government after suffering an unexpected setback. Is that potentially a canary in the coal mine for Conservatives in the U.S. with midterm elections a year away? We'll ask Noah Rothman from Commentary Magazine at 8:08.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, and hot weather coming to the Chicago area. We'll tell you how high the temps will go. WIND Chicago News Time, 8.
He calls Comey a leaker. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump tweeting his first reaction to fired FBI Director James Comey's testimony. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
The president writing, despite so many false statements and lies, total and complete vindication. And wow, Comey is a leaker. Comey said multiple times yesterday that he chose to take detailed notes about his interactions with President Trump because he worried the White House would lie about them if he didn't. A complaint against Comey for leaking his notes will be filed by the president's personal lawyer with the Justice Department Inspector General and the Senate Judiciary Committee. The president will address the press at an afternoon news conference. Dave?
John, Democratic Senate Leader Chuck Schumer says Comey's testimony made the cloud over the White House a lot darker with allegations of obstructing the Russia investigation. He's urging President Trump
play the tapes for all of America to hear, or admit that there were no tapes.
The election she called didn't go her way, but Britain's prime minister will stay on the job. Fox's Simon Owen live in London.
Dave, Theresa May returning to 10 Downing Street after a meeting at Buckingham Palace.
I have just been to see Her Majesty the Queen.
and I will now form a government.
May saying she intends to stay on as Prime Minister despite her Conservative Party losing its majority in the UK Parliament. It is still the largest party, but opposition leaders say May should go.
The Prime Minister has lost all authority and credibility.
That's the Scottish National Party leader, Nicola Sturgeon. Dave?
Simon, the NSA contractor charged with leaking a classified Russian hacking document to the media, will remain behind bars. Prosecutors say they found a notebook in which reality winner wrote she wants to burn the White House down. Convicted leaker Chelsea Manning said this morning she felt a responsibility to the Republic, leaking all that classified military information to WikiLeaks, and she thanked President Obama for letting her out of prison. Fox News, fair and balanced.
68 degrees, clouds and sunshine at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Hot weather expected to hit Chicagoland this weekend. Upper 80s tomorrow, 90s Sunday and Monday, with heat indexes rising near the 100 mark. One man is dead following a fire on Chicago's west side. Blaze breaking out early this morning inside a three-story home in the 1100 block of South Laughlin. The investigation continues following a deadly mobile home blaze in Oak Lawn. Two trailers caught fire early yesterday near 90th and Cicero. One man was found dead at the scene, stabbed. A second man died later at a nearby hospital. One woman is dead, struck by a metro train on Chicago's north side. The incident happened last night near the Clybourne station, where train service was delayed. Cubs shortstop Addison Russell denying allegations that he abused his wife. Someone described as a close personal friend to Russell's wife had accused him of mentally and physically abusing her in a comment on an Instagram post this week. Cubs president Theo Epstein says Major League Baseball is now in charge of that investigation.
Any investigative action or potential disciplinary action is exclusively the territory of Major League Baseball, per the MLB policy, not the club. So that's why I mentioned that this time.
The infielder released a statement saying any allegations I have abused my wife are false and hurtful, and for the well-being of his family, he says he will have no further comment. Rockies over the Cubs, 4-1. White Sox fall to the Rays, 7-5. The news, a service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. 5% on all purchases in-store or online, subject to credit approval, U.S. only. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It is a service this hour of Turnkey.pro, and here is Ginny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, Ford is offering buyout packages to 15,000 salaried workers in North America and Asia. Those who accept the voluntary buyouts are expected to leave by September 30th. The cutbacks were put in place by Ford's former chief executive, Mark Fields, who stepped down from the company last month. Hyundai is recalling approximately 600,000 cars in the U.S. to fix faulty hood latches and parking brake indicators. The latch issue involves more than 400,000 Santa Fe and Santa Fe Sport SUVs from the 2013 to 17 model years, Genesis and Sonata sedans from the 2015 and 16 model years are being recalled to fix the parking brake warning light. The Dow closed up 8 points yesterday. The Nasdaq added 24 to a record, and the S&P added a fraction of a point. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder sees Democrats using members of Congress.
Al Green, another member of Congress who happens to be black, is, along with Maxine Waters, probably the two biggest voices on the Hill for impeachment.
I mean, they know these two people are hysterics.
They know that if Maxine Waters were a white Republican, people would call her unhinged. Those two people will have safe seats and they'll be reelected. So we'll just put them out there, have them yell and scream about impeachment. Can you say being used?
The Larry Elder Show. Now on weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
When you're hiring for a growing business, you don't need lots of candidates. You need the right candidates. You need Indeed.com. With an algorithm that positions your job post where quality candidates are and screener questions that help you zero in on the best talent. Indeed.com, the site proven through an independent study to deliver 5 times more hires than any other. New users claim your $50 credit for a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Summer involves a lot of driving to camp, to work, to soccer, back home to grab what they forgot, and then back to soccer again. So wouldn't you like to know your car is up for it? Enter Hum by Verizon. Now you can check your car's health from your phone with vehicle diagnostics, drive with more peace of mind thanks to 24/7 emergency assistance, and let the kids stream and game on the go with your car's own Wi-Fi hotspot. Get Hum and get where you're going. Learn more at hum.com. Verizon Wi-Fi available on Hum X only. Data usage applies. Coverage not available everywhere. Visit vzw.com for availability.
8:06, check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. On the Edens, inbound traffic is moving well. 19 minutes late Cook to Montrose, but outbound 34. Inbound Kennedy, delays start at Lawrence. 39 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 28 from Montrose, 26 in the Express. Outbound, it's 14 minutes to Montrose and 35 to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower, 52 minutes Thorndale to downtown. 38 from Manheim. Outbound 45 to Thorndale. Stevenson, heavier, an hour and 8 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 42 minutes. The Rhine is 31 minutes from 95th to downtown. Tri-State, delays are northbound, 111th to 75th. Plainfield Road to the Hansdale Oasis and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Northbound Veterans Memorial, a little slow, 63rd to the Reagan Tollway, and Army Trail to 290. Eastbound 8094, stop and go Central to Ripley. Westbound a bit tight, Bird to Klein. Northbound I-65, just a little congestion now, approaching 8094. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Heat wave tomorrow into Tuesday. For today, intervals of clouds and sunshine with a shower or a thunderstorm around for the afternoon, high 84. Patchy clouds tonight, low 61. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
68 at O'Hare, 71 along the lakefront. Next news, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, of course, Comey's testimony and the ongoing political theater associated with the special prosecutor now and the investigation into allegations of Russian collusion and the investigation into leakers and wherever the investigation may take us from yesterday after Jim Comey testified yet again before Congress. That's one thing that could potentially be impactful in the 2018 midterms and thus impactful on President Trump's legislative agenda, particularly the domestic agenda. Could what happened in Britain yesterday
happen here?
Be a canary in the coal mine for conservatives in 2018? Boy, to go from Brexit and the terrorist attacks to really dealing the Tories quite a blow yesterday, kicking what the British voters did was kick them out of the majority. They still have a plurality of seats in the parliament, but now Theresa May is scrambling, trying to form a minority government, in part by enlisting the trade unionist party. So that was not the result that was expected, particularly against a Labour Party led by Corbyn, who this guy has had some very disturbing with dalliances with terrorists.
Yeah, a
over
terrorist
the years.
sympathizer or something?
So what are we to make of those results in Britain and their application in terms of concerns for the U.S. and our special relationship? For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined again by Noah Rothman, who is associate editor for Commentary Magazine. Noah, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So what about that, your analysis of what happened and why it happened in Britain and what it portends for conservatives in the U.S.?
Yeah, well, it's probably a mistake to draw a straight line between domestic British politics and American politics, they're very distinct and are not really linked. What happened here, though, is something that conservatives should take to heart because, in my view, it has just about everything to do with the fact that this was a party that was afraid of its own shadow. It didn't have the conviction to stand by its own policy prescriptions and became confused and looked like a bad bet. That's not to say that there were a bunch of different mistakes. There are a ton of things that contributed to this. Theresa May had terrible political instincts. She didn't appear to want debate, for example. Donald Trump's decision to get into a fight with the London mayor created a variety of a swell of pro-labor sentiment in the greater London area, which cost conservatives a lot of seats in that area. But the biggest problem, in my view, was this manifesto, the party's manifesto, which they dropped, and then which contained a few pretty, bold conservative reforms that were met with a lot of resistance. And then the Conservative Party just sort of backed off them. They got scared, they didn't defend them, and they just abandoned them, or dropped them, or pushed them off, or amended them, and it made them look weak and feeble and unable to withstand the pressures of politics for a conservative reform party, which, by the way, the Republican Party is supposed to be. So while flirting with populism and flirting with attracting liberal voters might have been the goal of trying to back off, it had the precise opposite effect. And, by the way, that effect is to legitimize somebody who you said correctly is a terrorist sympathizer, a soft anti-Semite, and Labor has absolutely no impetus now to back off of this guy as their party leader. It's a mark of civilizational decline, a real disaster.
And just one more point on Corbyn. I mean, this 1970s era Marxist, that's who he is. But he ran sort of a Bernie Sanders, or Labor did, but kind of a Bernie Sanders populist campaign to get the young and the old motivated, and that seems to have been a key to the surprising results.
Yeah, I mean, he benefited from a youth vote surge, and that's probably to be expected for any really socialist party. I mean, that really appeals to young voters. Where they lost, where conservatives really lost it was this manifesto. One of the pledges was this effort to means test people for retirement benefits, for senior benefits, and that was lampooned as a quote-unquote dementia tax.
Right.
And as a result, conservatives just sort of backed off of it. And that was the sort of thing that lost them the upper middle income voter. So they lost the middle of the electorate. And that's where the conservatives really fell off the playing field. So they went from a 20-point advantage in the polls to a 5-point advantage in the polls to being slightly under in the polls. And they, as a result, lost their majority. So and the fact that Theresa May now, having lost this majority after calling an election that they didn't need to have, thinks she can govern as prime minister in some sort of a minority government is testament to her political acumen. She should have the decency to fall on her sword.
Well, she says she's going to vow to lead forward despite the staggering election blow. But I want to go back to something that you mentioned earlier because I want to make sure I got this right. Donald Trump, President Trump's tweet about the London mayor, you think that cost conservative votes in the UK?
I think it resulted in a surge of sympathy for the Labour Party, to which Mayor Sadiq Khan is a member, in the greater London area. Conservatives lost a lot of seats in this area, in the greater metropolitan London area. So it has something to do with it. Now, it's a really American chauvinistic point of view to think that American politics has virtually anything to do with British politics, but in this case, I don't think you can separate the two entirely.
What about Theresa May's proposals after the most recent terrorist attack in London that included expanding domestic police powers, her statement about being more aggressive at interdicting terrorism both in the public sector and in society, British society generally, discussions this past weekend, Nigel Farage on Fox News raising the prospect of interning Muslims on the watch list. Did that play into the results, do you think?
Yeah, it could have. I mean, it struck me as just a mark of desperation. They all saw where the polls were headed at that point. And I'm skeptical to think that the terrorist attacks had any real effect on this vote. But notion that peddled by Theresa May in this moment of desperation that curtailing human rights laws in the UK in order to prevent these sorts of terrorist attacks it was desperation and smelled like it, and probably turned off a lot of people because it was such a grotesque sentiment. It's the kind of thing that deserves all the humiliation, the public humiliation that it gets. But I don't know necessarily if that really moved the needle. I feel like it was the cake was already baked by that point.
But isn't that sort of a comment? I mean, I guess that's a commentary going back to one of the takeaways I'm hearing from you, which is Theresa May's political instincts could be better. The idea she's running against a terrorist sympathizer and what's been happening in Britain, and she can't make the claim that me and the Tories are better positioned to maintain your security than Jeremy Corbyn and his gang.
Yeah, no, and that's what's so depressing about all this is that Jeremy Corbyn is now within striking distance of 10 Downing Street, and his worldview is that of a campus leftist college student. It is self-effacing and deluded about the strength and character of the West and its necessity and extroverted presence in the world by Great Britain and the United States in general, and a belief that terrorism is a response to Western provocation, which is the kind of thing that we've seen how America retreating from the world, it begets violence, instigates violence, results in violence. This is the kind of worldview that will create more terrorism. And the fact that this is now a realistic prospect, to say nothing of his prejudices and his nostalgic view of Marxist nationalization efforts in the domestic front, his view of British power, his skepticism of it and frustration with it is something that's really genuinely dangerous, and it could very well become a British foreign policy in the very near future. That's scary.
Now, Theresa May is, vowing to form a new party and all that, a new government, excuse me. But do you think that she should step down?
I do. I can't imagine what she thinks she's going to do as prime minister. She called an election seeking legitimacy and essentially got a vote of no confidence.
Right.
So, I can imagine that her only, thought here is she's seeking to prevent the ascension of now Foreign Secretary, former London Mayor Boris Johnson, who is very likely to replace her, among other candidates, but he's probably the most prominent. But otherwise, I can't see what she's thinking at this point. She doesn't really have the confidence of her party. Certainly doesn't have the confidence of the country. So how is she going to govern in a minority government?
It seems like the climate in the West now is that the pendulum can swing wildly, very quickly, from Brexit to this occurrence. And again, just in terms of lessons to be learned, the lesson you're suggesting for the Republican Party in this country is go forth boldly in the direction of doing what you said you would do, yes?
Yeah, that's one thing. Do what you said you would do and defend your actions and your thought process behind that with some conviction, which this Conservative Party failed to do. But now twice they've put their own legitimacy before voters, where they had won their legitimacy in 2015. Then they put it in front of voters for Brexit, and then they put it in front of voters for this special election, and they lost it. Now, both of those were, in retrospect, mistakes. And it didn't have to be this way. Conservatives enjoyed a majority until 2020, and they've thrown it all away.
He is Noah Rothman, Associate Editor for Commentary Magazine. Noah, thanks again for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Speaking of Bernie Sanders, wait until you hear what's up with Bernie Sanders. But first, let's get your forecast for this weekend and for this Big Fun Friday. Clear right now, but clouds and a shower or thunderstorm rolling through here late this afternoon, a high of 84. Saturday, beautiful day, plenty of sunshine, hot, a high of 90. And on Sunday, sunny, breezy, and we could hit a record high of, how high could it get, Dan?
123 degrees.
No, 97. You haven't been listening. You hear me talking, go, bom, 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 bom.
I'm sorry, you said something?
Let's get into the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. Good morning. In northwest Indiana, we see delays on eastbound 8094 from Central to Ripley. Westbound, just a little heavy. Burr to Klein. The toll road's fine. I-65 has cleared up. The Edens has outbound delays. Peterson to Willow, 34 minutes from Montrose to Lake Cook. Inbound fine at 19. The Kennedy, 39 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 35. The Eisenhower's 52 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, 38 from Manheim. Outbound 45 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 8 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Really jammed Demon to the drive with that construction. Outbound 40 minutes to 3:55. The Ryan is 31 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive, southbound slow Irving Park to North Avenue, and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State stop and go 87th to 31st, and Roosevelt to North Avenue. There's stall in the right lane. The other tollways are lighter than normal. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Hey, if you haven't bought a MyPillow yet, why not? Maybe you've seen them in a store, but the radio deal using my name, Amy, as the promo code is a much better deal. It's the best deal available. And in June, you'll receive the 50% discount on a MyPillow 4-pack, 2 premium MyPillows, 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, all 50% off. And you can move the fill to give you the exact support you need, regardless of sleep position. And our good friend Mike Lindell manufactures them in America using only American labor. You can wash and dry them. They're hypoallergenic, and you'll get a 10-year warranty and 60-day money-back guarantee. In June, get the 50% off the 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy. That's 800-489-0201. Promo code Amy or MyPillow.com.
Time. It's our most valuable and limited commodity. How about a change of pace? Visit MJ Miller & Company and make time work for Dad this Father's Day. Time will become more meaningful with a Grand Seiko watch. There's a reason why Grand Seiko is MJ Miller's most coveted watch brand. Choose rich leather or masculine metal. All Grand Seiko watches are made by hand for those who value perfection on their wrists. Let MJ Miller help you make a statement with your dad's timepiece as you choose from one of the largest Grand Seiko inventories in the Midwest. MJ Miller & Company is located at 123 West Main Street in downtown Barrington. They're open Monday through Thursday until 6, Saturday until 5, and every Thursday evening until 8. As always, they're buying your broken or unwanted gold, silver, platinum, and diamonds. It's time to call 847-381-7900 or visit mjmillerjewelers.com. MJ Miller & Company, your trusted family jeweler.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dave Geiselhart, president and owner of Home Trust Mortgage and customer of Signature Bank. When the large banks turned away from the mortgage lending industry during the financial crisis, I turned to locally owned Signature Bank. Signature Bank stepped in and helped me expand our business at a time when the larger banks wouldn't. Today, I'm proud to say Home Trust Mortgage has been able to expand our business in Illinois and the Great Lakes region. We couldn't have done that without the help of Signature Bank. Signature Bank truly helps Chicago businesses like mine grow and thrive. That's why we also became personal customers and shareholders of Signature Bank, Chicago's business bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Americans have the right and advantage of being armed, unlike the citizens of other countries whose governments are afraid to trust the people with arms. James Madison, Federalist Papers. Our founders recognized that the common individual needs to be trusted, but with trust, there must be common sense and personal responsibility. This is especially true of handguns. If you've been thinking of making a purchase, visit the Range at 355. The Range at 355 is so much more than a state-of-the-art shooting range. It is a fully stocked showroom carrying a variety of firearms with brands like Smith & Wesson, Sig Sauer, HKs, and Glock. The Range at 355 offers Illinois concealed carry license training and a full curriculum of classes designed to teach you what you need to know to be a responsible gun owner and concealed carrier. Their professional team will train you like a pro. Founded by patriots like you, providing professional guidance and courteous instruction. Trust your skills to the pros at the Range at 355. For range hours and class info, visit range355.com. Range355.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, We were just mentioning Bernie Sanders and comparing him to Jeremy Corbyn and across the pond in the UK. And Bernie Sanders put another marker on the board this week. Now it's been subsumed by the Jim Comey matter and Coates and Rogers before Comey and all of the Russian collusion and the investigation and the British election and so forth, the terrorist attack and so forth. But there's an important exchange that occurred. This is between Comrade Bernie and Russell Vought, who is Trump's nominee to be deputy director of the White House of Office and of Management Budget under Mulvaney.
Okay.
Listen to Bernie Sanders querying this nominee, who, by the way, is from Wheaton College.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Listening to Bernie Sanders query him about his Christianity. A religious test, perhaps?
Let me get to this issue that has bothered me and bothered many other people. And that is in the piece that I referred to that you wrote for a publication called Resurgent. You wrote, quote, Muslims do not simply have a deficient theology. They do not know God because they have rejected Jesus Christ, his son, and they stand condemned. End of quote. Do you believe that statement is Islamophobic?
Absolutely not, Senator. I'm a Christian, and I believe in a Christian set of principles based on my faith. That post, as I stated in the questionnaire to this committee, was to defend my alma mater, Wheaton College, a Christian school that has a statement of faith that includes the centrality of Jesus Christ for salvation. And
again, I apologize. Forgive me. We just don't have a lot of time. Do you believe that people in the Muslim religion stand condemned? Is that your view?
Again, Senator, I'm a Christian, and I wrote that piece.
Well, what does that say?
With the statement of faith of Wheaton College.
I understand that. I don't know how many Muslims there are in America. I really don't know. Probably a couple of million.
But 3 million.
Are you suggesting that all of those people stand condemned? What about Jews? They stand condemned too?
Senator, I'm a Christian.
I understand you are a Christian, but this country is made up of people who are not just. I understand that Christianity is the majority religion, but there are other people who have different religions in this country and around the world. In your judgment, do you think that people who are not Christians are going to be condemned?
Thank you for probing on that question. As a Christian, I believe that all individuals are made in the image of God and are worthy of dignity and respect, regardless of their religious beliefs. I believe that as a Christian, that's how I should treat all individuals.
And do you think your statement that you put into that publication, they do not know God because they've rejected Jesus Christ the Son and they stand condemned, do you think that's respectful of other religions?
Senator, I wrote a post based on being a Christian and attending a Christian school that has a statement of faith that speaks clearly with regard to the centrality of Jesus Christ in salvation.
I would simply say, Mr. Chairman, that this nominee is really not someone who is what this country is supposed to be about.
By the way, that's an unconstitutional line of questioning, just not even dealing with the substance of the religious questions. He's essentially imposing a religious test for public office for this appointment, which is a violation of Article 6 of the United States Constitution. But more to the point, Bernie Sanders and the antagonism towards Christianity and one's freedom of conscience. But it does call to mind Matthew 10. Behold, I'm sending you out in the midst of wolves, and you will be dragged before governors and kings for my sake. And I thought Russell Vought handled himself brilliantly and tactfully and honorably. Frank in St. Charles, you're on Chicago's Morning Anson.
Yeah, good morning. What's the difference between what this guy was saying about Christians think you should be condemned after death, and ISIS thinks they have the right to kill you now? It's brainwashing either way.
No, it's not. But thanks for the call, Frank. It's freedom of conscience, and this is somebody expressing their faith. And if you want to call that brainwashing, then you're entitled to do that because you have First Amendment rights as well. But it's not a preclusion for public office or appointed office. It's an unconstitutional line of questioning. And it is also Christian bigotry, which I know is acceptable, generally speaking, in culture, the elite elements of our culture, but not for me.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
we'll pick up our discussion on Comey and its implications, the testimony's implications for Donald Trump getting back to focus on his domestic policy agenda with Matt McCoyak, GOP strategist, 838.
And later, just look who got kicked out of the Bill Cosby courtroom. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
68 degrees, clouds and sunshine in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. The president tweeting about yesterday's Senate hearing. Yesterday, James Comey saying the president encouraged him to back off the investigation of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. This morning, the president tweeting, Comey is a leaker. A Georgia woman accused of leaking classified intelligence to the media, pleading not guilty, judge denying bail for reality winner yesterday. British Prime Minister Theresa May will form a new government after her Conservative Party suffered a loss in yesterday's election.
What the country needs more than ever is certainty.
May has met with Queen Elizabeth and has been given permission from the monarch to form a new government. House Republicans are rolling back many of the financial reforms passed in response to the 2008 Wall Street meltdown. Bill aimed at scaling back Dodd-Frank easily passed the House yesterday.
The yeas are 233, the nays are 186. The bill is passed.
The bill faces an uncertain future in the Senate right now. Republicans do say Dodd-Frank has hurt business severely and cut economic growth. One person is dead, 10 others hurt after a church bus full of students crashes in Georgia near Atlanta. 2 remain in critical condition this morning. The bus taking high school students from a church in Huntsville, Alabama, to the airport for a mission trip to Africa. Business news this morning, a place you might like to go, Joe's Crab Shack, going belly up. The owner of the casual dining chain filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection this week due to falling sales. Hot weather hitting Chicagoland this weekend. Temps in the low 90s. Sunday and Monday with heat indexes near 100. One man dead following a house fire on Chicago's west side in the 1100 block of South Laughlin. And West Nile virus has officially come to the state of Illinois as the Department of Public Health warns people in the state to be on high alert. Officials in Macon County confirming mosquitoes in their area now carry West Nile. Rockies over the Cubs was the Rays over the White Sox. The news, a service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. 5% on all purchases in-store or online, subject to credit approval, U.S. only. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Give Dad the perfect Father's Day gift and earn $25 in Cabela's Bucks when you spend $150 or more in-store. Shop in-store and online.
Why choose Kubota and Associates to handle your retirement? Well, because we provide objective advice and concierge service, investments, insurance, retirement planning, all at one location. We also partner with qualified attorneys and CPAs to provide complete financial strategies for our clients. We use a variety of investment and insurance products to custom design retirement plans that can give clients a clear look at their future. We help you stay on the path toward financial independence. If you don't want to do it yourself and you want to work with a team to create a financial strategy for your future, give us a call. 630-777-7955. That's 630-777-7955. Would you rather get retirement advice from some TV show host who doesn't know anything about you, or Kubota and Associates? 630-777-7955. Kubota and Associates is a registered investment advisory firm. Jack Kubota is an investment advisor representative and insurance professional. Investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you? You don't even look like the same person." He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
8:36 in Chicago. Let's get an update on the roads. Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center time. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. Inbound Kennedy, delays are between Irving Park and the Hubbard Street Tunnel. It's 40 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 30 from Montrose, 32 in the Express. The Ohio Feeder's backed up. Outbound, 35 minutes to the airport. Edens, 19 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 32. The Eisenhower, 54 minutes Thorndale to downtown. 36 from Manheim. Outbound 50 to Thorndale, but it's 24 to Manheim. Extension's heavy. Northbound down the Stevenson Expressway. We're looking at a travel time of 1 hour and 8 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The worst of it starts around Damon. Outbound 40 minutes to 355. Ryan 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive, southbound delays. Irving Park to North Avenue at 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound at the Oak Street curve, there's a stalled bus in the right lane. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Stevenson to 31st and jammed. Cermak to North Avenue. Reagan Tollway heavy York to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial from 63rd to the Reagan Tollway and Lake to 290. Eastbound 8094, slow Central to Ripley. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Clouds and sun with an afternoon shower or storm, high 84. Currently 69. Your next news coming up at 9, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Power Trading Radio. Heard Sundays at 2 p.m. Brought to you each week by Online Trading Academy.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, before we turn to our friend Matt McCoyak and the matter of Comey's testimony yesterday, we were just talking about Bernie Sanders and him doing his own version of the Inquisition against Christians. Russell Vought, Trump's nominee to be deputy director of OMB. And then the call we got from Frank in St. Charles, some kind of atheist or agnostic, about how just one form of brainwashing, comparing ISIS murdering people to Christians who believe what Russell Vought articulated in his exchange with Comrade Bernie. And I just called to mind for consideration, by the way, brainwashing. What's brainwashing? Is believing you're your own God, brainwashing? Have you brainwashed yourself? Frank in St. Charles. But I just called to mind after the break, thinking about it, C.S. Lewis on Christianity. C.S. Lewis said, I believe in Christianity like I believe in the sunrise. I don't see it, but I see everything else because of it. And so just for consideration for those that still have the scales over their eyes, like Comrade Bernie and Chris Von Holland as well, of Maryland senator, who also picked up on Bernie's line of prosecution of nominee Vought. So yesterday, Comey testified, and the thing we learn, which is a perfect segue from C.S. Lewis, is we had a big coward as the FBI director.
Yeah, he was a coward, and he was a leaker because he wanted to make sure a special prosecutor was assigned to this case. So he gave some information to his buddy, a professor, law professor at Columbia. He didn't want to do it himself. Why?
Why didn't you give those to somebody yourself rather than give them through a third party?
Because I was worried the media was camping at the end of my driveway at that point, and I was actually going out of town with my wife to hide, and I worried it would be like feeding seagulls at the beach if it was I who gave it to the media. So I asked my friend, make sure this gets out.
Admitted he was a leaker, a high-level leaker.
Yeah, and it's just because he was in a rush to, spend the weekend with his wife. It's such disingenuous pap from this guy, and this kind of aw shucks country bumpkin routine that he does is so tiresome.
Oh yeah,
and unnerving, particularly when he's caught applying different standards of conduct to different people, contradicting himself with respect to what he said in previous testimony before Congress, what he said in previous press conferences. It's just really an unfortunate matter, but I suspect he provided enough for both sides, but particularly Democrats, to feel emboldened to continue to demagogue this issue, even while suggesting multiple times that he told President Trump that he was not a subject of the Russian collusion investigation. He also told President Trump, or he characterized President Trump, well, at this one, this is classic Comey, he wants it every which way. On one hand, he says he issued me a directive to stop the Flynn investigation, which I ignored. On the other hand, he said, Trump also told me that he wanted the investigation to go wherever it was going to go with respect to his quote-unquote satellites, the people around him, and be done as expeditiously as possible, with the truth being whatever the truth turns out to be. And, and also I don't know Trump very well, so I don't know how to read him.
It sounds like he's just scared of President Trump, too.
Afraid, maybe. I don't know. I think he's just slippery.
He's squirrely.
I think he's like Mercury, this guy. Matt McCawiak, he is a Republican strategist, president of the Potomac Strategy Group. He joins us now. Matt, thanks for being with us.
Pleasure.
Well, the president's personal attorney said, and the president followed this up with a tweet this morning, totally vindicated by what Jim Comey had to say. And so now we can all move on and focus on more important matters. A bit of wishful thinking by the president, but what about that response from him and his attorney?
Yeah, I think the important thing to take away from the hearing, and I think there were a number of them, some of them good for Trump and some of them bad, but I think the most important thing to take away is it's now entirely clear why Trump fired Comey. And just for your listeners who don't like Donald Trump, try to take his name away for a second and just think about this. Think about being told 3 times by a prosecutor that you're not under investigation. Meanwhile, newspapers across the country or wherever you live are using blaring headlines saying that you are under investigation. And the person who told you you're not under investigation will not confirm it publicly. I mean, that must have been deeply, deeply frustrating for President Trump, and I think that's what we learned. It's one of the things we learned with the hearing. Comey did confirm something that Trump put in the letter that he sent to Comey when he fired him, that he had been told on 3 separate occasions that he was not under investigation. So obviously that's what the Trump legal team is seizing on. As you guys referenced, there were other important revelations. Obviously, the leak of the memo from Comey. Now, clearly, he must have worked through DOJ to make sure it wasn't classified. I highly doubt he would have released classified information. But that doesn't necessarily make it right. I mean, the public hasn't seen this memo. Congress hasn't even seen this memo. Congress had a hearing with Jim Comey yesterday and hadn't even seen the memo. But some lawyer at the Columbia Law School who's a friend of Jim Comey's has seen it. So that's going to lead to, I think, more questions for Jim Comey going forward.
So is obstruction of justice still a possibility?
I think it's a possibility, yes. Democrats are obviously going to be making, big demands on that. Based on the legal analysis I've seen, I don't think this rises to that level, and neither does Alan Dershowitz and Jonathan Turley, 2 of the leading liberal lawyers in the country.
Obstruction of justice for who? Not the president. He's not even being investigated.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, see, that's the interesting thing here is that the Trump campaign is probably being investigated at some level, but Donald Trump personally is not being investigated. Look, again, the public doesn't really know what's going on. Robert Mueller, the former FBI director, is a special counsel. He's the only person now that really knows what's going on. And obviously, Jim Comey hasn't been there for a month, and so the investigation has probably moved forward since then. But look, I think Comey does have probably some concern. My guess is he was very careful in how he handled this memo. But it doesn't seem to me, look, it's not Comey's personal work product. It's work product that he did while he was FBI director. I imagine that is government property, not personal property. I guess he argued it was personal property. But, look, I mean, he doesn't like leaks, and except when he does them for himself. And so that is a reasonable question to ask Jim Comey about going forward.
He also contradicted himself from his testimony in May before Congress when he said that he was not and would not be an anonymous source in any of these investigations. So he was. That's a lie.
That's exactly right. And like any good lawyer, he's parsing his words. He basically said, well, I wasn't the source. I gave my memo to someone else.
Using a cutout. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's ridiculous. And Look, he obviously cares a lot about his public image, and honestly, I think it's fair to say President Trump could have handled the firing of Jim Comey in a better way, not letting him learn on the television while he's speaking to employees in Los Angeles. He could have handled it probably better. You never want to create an enemy who has a lot of the nation's secrets in his own head.
Well, I mean, I can understand that why there's no love loss, and instead of handling it better, I think he should have just handled it earlier.
I think that's a good argument, too. I mean, waiting, part of the reason I think they waited is they wanted the Justice Department to complete the review of Comey's tenure as FBI director, and Rosenstein had to get confirmed. It took a while for him to get confirmed, even though he was, I think, unanimously or overwhelmingly confirmed as Deputy AG.
Yeah.
He had 2 weeks. He completed the review. He put a memo together at President Trump's request, requesting that Comey be fired, and they fired him as soon as they could. But you're right. That probably should have happened in the transition or in the first couple weeks of the administration. But listen, there was never going to be a time when Democrats were going to feel like the timing of firing the FBI director by President Trump was going to be appropriate. There's no day since President Trump has been in office that would have been an appropriate day for President Trump to fire the FBI director in the eyes of Democrats.
Like, I don't like what President Trump did, but I don't see it as illegal or as obstruction of justice, but that's for somebody else to decide. But what we learned yesterday, too, was about Attorney General Loretta Lynch requesting that the Hillary Clinton email investigation be termed a matter instead of an investigation.
Yeah, listen, I think yesterday was actually a really bad day for Loretta Lynch. Comey again talked about how deeply concerned he was when President Clinton met with Loretta Lynch on that tarmac, 3 or 4 days before Comey announced Hillary was not going to be prosecuted. And then, obviously, there had been reporting, I think it was in the New York Times, this absurd phrase that Lynch wanted the FBI director to use. Instead of calling it a, quote, investigation, she wanted it to be called a, quote, matter, which he thought was ridiculous at the time. What's so interesting about Comey is how he has sort of selective outrage throughout his tenure. There are things that drive him crazy where he can't handle them, and then there are other things like this that he was, quote, deeply concerned about, but then did really nothing about. And that's the other question Comey didn't really answer sufficiently. He's in the Oval Office. He said he was concerned by what President Trump said to him as it related to Michael Flynn, but he did absolutely nothing about it except write a memo on his phone when he was in the car on the way back. Didn't tell Congress, didn't tell his supervisors, didn't follow the Department of Justice procedure. So two things cannot be true at once. What Trump said to him in the Oval Office cannot be a big deal if Comey didn't do anything about it. Right?
Well, right, and he did do something about what was concerning to him about getting FBI and DOJ aligned from a messaging perspective with the Hillary campaign. He said he was concerned about that, but he did do something about that. He complied.
Yeah, he did. And, well, the other thing he did that's important, Dan, is he decided to make the announcement himself when he announced that she was not going to be prosecuted, and that went against the Department of Justice procedure. And he did that because he thought Loretta Lynch had been compromised. Both by this ridiculous phrasing she was using, which was helpful to Clinton's campaign, but then also this tarmac meeting in Phoenix for 30 minutes where no one knows what Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton talked about. I'm sure they weren't.
They talked about the grandkids, yeah.
Well, and to your point about, and this is the point that's been replayed and discussed, but I think Kim Strassel had a great line in the Wall Street Journal today about Comey being so disturbed by the president's comments about the Flynn investigation that he memorialized them, but he did nothing about it. He didn't challenge the president. He said nothing to no one. He did nothing about it. And Kim Strassel writes, this may count as the only time Mr. Comey suddenly didn't have an opinion on whether to render justice or to take things into his own hands. And she's right. I mean, this is the whole thing with this guy. He's morally pliable. He is lacking in character. He is in the business of politics. He is no different than most of the people who were sitting opposite him yesterday asking him questions.
Yeah, I did think yesterday was a bad day for Jim Comey. I don't necessarily think it was a great day for President Trump. It certainly wasn't as bad as it could have been. But yeah, Comey really raised more questions than he answered yesterday. I think if any objective observer looking at this, there's just no consistency in how he decided to apply DOJ procedures to his job as FBI director. Different situations he handled differently. It was kind of just a changing approach. Whatever he wanted to do when he wanted to do it. And obviously he has some prerogative as FBI director, but generally you're supposed to really be by the book in that job. Of all jobs in our government, that's a by-the-book job. And he really handled a lot of these situations really not by the book. And so that is going to be part of his legacy. And I think that probably bothers him that he was unable to complete a 10-year term that he was appointed to by the president. But really, if you step back and take Trump out of this, Republicans and Democrats both had been sharply criticizing his tenure as FBI
That's right.
for 4 months.
And so where do Republicans in the House and the Senate go from here? Are they buoyed by what happened yesterday and they're going to get back to trying to move a policy agenda, particularly in the Senate? Or where do you think the leadership and the rank and file are on this matter? Are they going to allow themselves to continue to be sidetracked by this?
Well, I think the investigation will continue, and there'll still be news coverage. I mean, the media really is going after Trump, and they really feel like they have a chance to get him impeached one way or the other. So they're not going to stop. But you're right. The real question is what happens with congressional leaders, and I think they are going to start pushing again. I mean, you've basically seen Senate Republican leaders say we are going to have a vote on a health care alternative bill before the end of the summer, before the end of July, when they go back home for August. And it could even be sooner than that. They're, I think, in the final stages of putting a bill together in the Senate. The House is moving bills. They moved a bill to repeal most of Dodd-Frank just yesterday, which is very important for community banks and for access to credit. And I think they'll, look, they've got an uphill battle here with the remaining legislative days up on Capitol Hill. There's still a path to getting tax reform done. There's still a path to getting an Obamacare replacement done, but they've really got to put their head down and do the work. And I think avoiding a real disaster yesterday with the Comey hearing has to be seen as a victory for not just the White House, but Capitol Hill Republicans. They can get back to doing their job now.
He is Matt McCowiak, Republic strategist, president of the Potomac Strategy Group. Matt, thanks for joining us. As always, appreciate it.
Pleasure.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Need a new CPAP? Then we need you. We're CPAP.com, and we recently overstocked the world's best CPAP machines. Top-of-the-line devices from brands like ResMed and Philips Respironics. Call now and get one of these overstocked CPAPs for a fraction of the price. We'll even give you free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-600-5909. The best part? No insurance needed. We're giving out these CPAPs at prices so low, they'll cost less than your copay and deductible through insurance. CPAP.com has shipped over 1 million orders and has the world's largest selection of CPAPs and accessories. With no retail overhead or costly middlemen, we're the best way to get comfortable, effective sleep apnea equipment at incredibly low prices. Again, CPAP.com has overstocked premium CPAPs. Call now to get a ResMed or Philips Respironics machine for a fraction of the price with free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-600-5909. Hurry. When these overstocked CPAPs are gone, they're really gone. That's 1-800-600-5909.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that enhances what we do each morning on this show. Podcast of our Illinois Rising program covering state of Illinois politics and policy. Long-form interviews in our Against the Current series this week featuring freshman state senator Dan McConkey from Hawthorne Woods discussing the budget impasse and his proposal for a constitutionally balanced budget without raising taxes, not particularly embraced by the Democrats, to no one's surprise. A new series we're rolling out this week, Heart of the Matter, where you have women of various demographics.
Sounds very mushy.
Well,
Are we going to talk about our feelings?
No, just colleague to colleague discussions about policy matters, but without the, obstreperous men like me interfering with the ladies having a good conversation about, for example, this week, referendums, local tax referendums for schools and so forth. And, what else do we got? My 60 Seconds of Sanity commentaries and 2-minute warnings and dollars and cents. A lot of content. We're content producers in this house. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
Napa know-how. Why should you grab Valvoline Full Synthetic Motor Oil for $5.59 a quart at Napa? 2 words, road trip. To see the biggest ball of twine or a crater shaped like Abe Lincoln. Because if your ride isn't running strong, all you're going to see is the side of the road. Valvoline Synthetic Oil, just $5.59 a quart. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
General states pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Offer expires 6/30/17.
There are two things every parent wants when their child goes to college: for their child to do well and a way to afford it. Now, with Discover Student Loans, parents can have the best of both worlds. Not only do our loans cover up to 100% of school-certified costs with zero fees, but we'll give them a cash reward for each new student loan if they earn at least a 3.0 GPA or equivalent. That means every A in history or B in math could help them earn a cash reward for good grades. Just one of the many ways we treat you like you'd treat you. Apply now in 15 minutes or less at discoverstudentloans.com. Limitations apply.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
Did you know 40% of all cancer could be prevented? That's a fact. Along with maintaining appropriate body weight and regular exercise, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the USDA confirm that eating 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day is the key. Now ask yourself, am I at risk? How many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about Balance of Nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I know, I've seen it in my lab, and I know that it works. I've seen the immune response increase, I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection. And that, to me, as a scientist, rings so true.
I'm a big supporter of the product. 2 winters ago, I had, between November and March, I had 5 head colds, and each time it was like a 2-week ordeal. Last winter, with your product, I didn't have a single one.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
Imagine purchasing America's best-selling pistol, the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 9mm, for only $350 plus a $75 manufacturer rebate. Plus, mention you heard it from me, Amy Jacobson, when you buy your Shield and get a box of Federal Range ammo for only $5.60. At Schrank's, of course. Schrank's has Lake County's largest selection of new, used, and consignment pistols, rifles, shotguns, and ammo, plus full gunsmith services. In June, it's also a buy 3, get 1 free on select ammo. And don't forget to purchase your favorite cigars at Schrank's. Avoid the Cook County taxes and take advantage of the June deal on a Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 9mm for only $350 plus a $75 manufacturer rebate. Schrank's, the firearms store generations of customers trust. Visit SmokeTheN.org or call 847-662-4034. Schrank's Smoke and Gun in Waukegan, your family-owned gun store since 1964.
Anarchists taking to the streets. Hollywood more vocal than ever. Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer making baseless accusations on a daily basis.
And again, the facts are what are important.
And the press has lost all objectivity, responsibility, and quite possibly their minds. One thing is for certain. We must be doing something right. Keep calm and listen. AM 560, The Answer.
Sunshine in Chicago, 69 degrees. Here are the stories we're following on AM 560, The Answer. Hot weather pouring into the Midwest. First black chief pilot in the United States retires here in Chicago. WIND Chicago News Time, 9